Chapter 5160. Long Lei was unusually arrogant. However, his opponent's strength was terrifying. Even Bai Susu had been defeated. Even the other members of the Divine Union had no chance of winning. Lin Xian transmitted his voice to the void. Susu, come back. I'll avenge you. Bai Susu walked back. The people of the Divine Union hurriedly asked, Senior Sister Bai, are you all right? She was fine, just a little injured. They had not expected this guy to be hiding a tail. Bai Susu gritted her teeth and swallowed an elixir. The people of the Dragon Palace sneered. Without Lin Wudi you are nothing. Surrender obediently as soon as possible. Otherwise you will all die without a burial ground. The people of the Dragon Palace started to show off. Long Lei continued to clamor. Come on. If one of you is not a match, I'll allow 2 of you to come at me together. If all 10 of you can come at me together, I can suppress all of you with one hand. As long as you are from the Divine Union, I will accept your challenge. Bai Susu gritted her teeth. This was too arrogant. Nalan Liang snorted. You said that when the people of the Divine Union came, you had to accept the challenge. Of course, no problem. I'm just afraid you don't have any experts. Bai Susu sneered. Just you wait. They knew that Lin Xian was nearby. When the time came, they would see how Lin Xian would die. Long Lei did not care. After ruthlessly suppressing the Divine Dragon, he turned and left smugly. Next, the geniuses of the Blue Tribe and the powerhouses of the Dragon Sea also challenged the Divine Union. They were immensely pleased. In an instant, everyone thought that the Divine Union was finished. After Lin Wudi's death and being targeted by so many powerhouses, the outcome would probably be miserable. Next, the battles continued. Some powerhouses and geniuses tried to challenge the Emperor's son. In the end, the Dragon Prince and Kuan Pengzi simply ignored them. Their opponents were too weak and did not qualify to challenge them. Those people could only challenge Yi Wudao and Gu Feng. In the end, they were defeated within 10 moves. After the great conqueror recovered his strength, he looked ahead. He looked at Kuan Pengzi and said, I want to fight the Emperor's son. Please give me a chance. Kuan Pengzi nodded. As you wish, use your strongest move. Although the great conqueror had been defeated, he was still a top genius and qualified to challenge them. Furthermore, he would be able to show everyone exactly how strong the Crown Prince was. Tyrant took a deep breath and roared as he threw a punch forward. Barbaric God's palm. The terrifying palm covered the sky. In the face of such a terrifying attack, the Kuanping only stretched out a finger and pointed forward. A black and white aura revolved around his finger. With a point of his finger, the mountains and rivers shattered. The barbarian god's palm shattered into pieces. The overlord was also sent flying while coughing up blood. A bloody hole had appeared on his body. Fortunately, it wasn't a vital part. He knew that Kuan Pengzi had already shown mercy. His scalp went numb. Many thanks for showing mercy. The surrounding people were all shocked. Wasn't this too powerful? Earlier, when Leaf Dao Denier had fought back against the barbarian god's palm, he had used the immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. But now, Kuan Pengzi had severely injured the tyrant with just a finger. What kind of power was this? Was this the strength of the Crown Prince? It was simply unimaginable. The laws of yin and yang are indeed powerful. I want to experience it for myself. Leaf Dao Denier strode forward, his voice resounding. The others were all shaken. It seemed like a top-level battle was about to start. Kuan Pengzi nodded. As you wish. He also wanted to experience the terror of the Yi family's unparalleled saint physique and the Heavenly Emperor Sutra. Leaf Dao Denier didn't dare to be careless. In an instant, the purple light on his body condensed into the phantom of an immortal king. The immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. The terrifying phantom stood indomitable and suppressed the 8 desolates. Countless people were shocked. Did he use this kind of ultimate technique as soon as he appeared? From the looks of it, Leaf Dao Denier was also facing a great enemy. Facing this ultimate technique, Kuan Pengzi didn't use a single finger. Instead, he slapped out with his palm. His palm turned into a Kuan Peng that soared between heaven and earth. Heaven and earth shattered, and the entire ancient battlefield shook. So powerful. Countless people retreated. The immortal king and the Kuan Peng fought. A heaven-shaking voice resounded through heaven and earth. Laws swept out. At this moment, Leaf Daudinier took a step forward and instantly disappeared. When he appeared, he was already behind Kuanpingzi. A pair of fists charged towards Kuanpingzi's head. What a fast speed! Countless people were shocked. Was this a spatial divine ability? They were all stunned. This kind of speed made even the scalps of the Gu family tingle. Gu Feng's face darkened. The people of the heavenly sect said, 10,000 steps in an instant. This was a peerless movement technique in the Heavenly Emperor Sutra. It was a great emperor's divine ability. No wonder it was so powerful. This movement technique was no different from spatial teleportation. Kuanpingzi was still not afraid. A pair of wings appeared on his back. The laws of yin and yang circulated on them and slashed behind, turning into two heavenly blades. They collided with Leaf Daudinier's fist. The surroundings trembled, and Leaf Daudinier retreated. The black and white heavenly blades attacked, but in an instant, Leaf Daudinier used it again. 10,000 steps in an instant. He dodged quickly. He came forward and merged with the heaven and earth phenomenon, Immortal King descending to the ninth heaven. He formed a seal with both hands and enveloped Kuanpingzi. 10,000 miles of deity ground. A barrier formed in front of him, as if it had turned into an immortal world. A mysterious aura bloomed. Kuanpingzi felt a huge pressure. In this deity ground, Leaf Daudinier was the ruler. Kuanpingzi roared angrily. The other party had a great emperor's divine ability. Did he not have one? Yin and yang reversed, and heaven and earth reversed. Black and white light bloomed in his eyes, and a terrifying power of yin and yang swept out. The entire deity ground shook violently. Endless mountains and rivers were shattered, and the sky was destroyed. It was a scene of apocalypse. Even the primordial battlefield outside was shaking nonstop. The people in the surroundings felt a terrifying aura that wanted to tear their bodies apart. It was too terrifying. They retreated frantically. Boom. The deity ground in front of them shattered. Kuanpingzi charged out powerfully. He covered yin and yang with one hand and attacked Leaf Daudinier. He sent Leaf Daudinier flying. Was he defeated? Countless people were shocked. Kuanpingzi was too strong. However, Leaf Daudinier roared. Although cracks appeared on his body, they quickly healed. His recovery ability was too strong. Countless people were shocked. The ancient Tao Heart Sutra. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. The Dragon Prince also narrowed his eyes. The Yi family had a great emperor, who was called Celestial Emperor Yi. He was an extremely powerful figure, and the Celestial Emperor Sutra he left behind was all-encompassing. All kinds of divine abilities were endless. This recovery power was one of the ultimate techniques in the Heaven and Earth Sutra. He didn't expect Leaf Daudinier to cultivate this too. Was he going to become the second celestial emperor of the Yi family? So strong. Lin Xian was also surprised. These great emperors' ancient sutras were really terrifying. It seemed that none of the people in front of him were weak. He felt his blood boil. The others exclaimed. Leaf Daudinier was not defeated and still had the strength to fight. Chapter 5161. Next, Yi Wudao and Kuanpingzi fought again. All kinds of great emperor secret techniques appeared. Although Yi Wudao was suppressed and at a disadvantage, he wasn't defeated. This shocked everyone. Even if Yi Wudao wasn't crowned as a king, he had the right to do so. He was known as the uncrowned king. It would be difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Great! The Yi family was overjoyed. Their nurturing was not in vain. As expected, Dallas had a supreme demeanor. The Dragon Prince's eyes shone with a cold light. This was interesting. As expected, every great emperor was unique, seizing the fortune of heaven and earth. I wonder how the void ancient scripture is? He stared at Gu Feng. Gu Feng looked solemn. He snorted and charged forward. His body disappeared instantly. In an instant, he was above the 9 heavens. With a wave of his hands, countless cracks appeared in the void. Void banishment. He wanted to banish the Dragon Prince into the darkness of the universe. Everyone was shocked. It was too powerful. It was really a fierce battle. They were extremely excited. Such a battle might not be seen once in a few thousand years. The others on the battlefield also retreated. They didn't have the strength to participate in such a battle. The energy storm could easily injure them, so they all retreated to the edge. The place where the Dragon Prince was instantly swallowed by the darkness and disappeared. The people of the Dragon Palace were nervous, but the people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty sneered. It was impossible to defeat the Dragon Prince. Indeed, not long after, a dragon claw covered the sky and tore the void. The Dragon Prince came back from the universe and roared furiously. True Dragon 9 transformations. The terrifying giant dragon rolled, and each time it did so, it destroyed the world. Gufeng felt a great threat. He swept his hands in all directions. So close yet so far. Endless folded space condensed, and terrifying power entered the folded space. Although it looked dangerous, it couldn't hurt him. Void God Finger. After getting rid of the danger, Gufeng pointed with his finger. Endless mysterious Tao runes appeared on his finger. This was a supreme technique of the Void Scripture. His finger disappeared in an instant. No one knew where it would come from. Boom. All of a sudden, he dashed out in front of the Dragon Prince, aiming for the Dragon Prince's glabella. This finger was capable of destroying everything. The Dragon Emperor was infuriated and struck out with his palm. However, this palm was a combination of illusion and reality. It actually struck empty air. An extremely terrifying radiance erupted from his eyes. Eyes of the Divine Dragon. Divine light shot out from his eyes, shattering everything. Master Hollow God was blocked. Then the Dragon Prince strode forward. You have angered me. Terrifying killing intent appeared in his eyes as he charged towards Gufeng. Heavenly Dragon Hand. He stretched out his arm and tore the 9 heavens apart. Gufeng kept dodging, and the two of them started fighting again. The Dragon Prince was very terrifying, and he was angry, so Gufeng was in danger. Fortunately, he cultivated the Space God art, so he could rely on his elusive movement technique to avoid danger many times. But even so, he was still at a disadvantage. A great battle broke out on the two battlefields, and the two imperial princes displayed their might. However, the more Leaf Dao Denier and Ancient Wind fought, the fiercer they became. He didn't seem to be defeated at all. This left countless people shocked. 2 crowned kings, 2 uncrowned kings, it really was too shocking. The battle continued for 500 moves. Suddenly, both sides exploded with power and retreated. The 4 of them spread out in all directions and faced each other. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. The surrounding people didn't dare to say a word. Their hearts were in their mouths. It was too shocking. Leaf Dao Denier didn't attack Kuan-Pingzi anymore. Instead, he turned around and looked at Gufeng. He used the Immortal King Descends to the 9 heavens and charged over. Gufeng also charged over. Void God Finger. A great battle broke out between the two sides, and countless people became excited. The 2 uncrowned kings were fighting. What about the 2 crowned kings? They looked at the 2 imperial princes. The Dragon Prince said, I said that I will defeat you with my own hands. I am the strongest imperial prince. He used the True Dragon 9 transformations and charged over. The 9 dragons roared together, and at the same time, their eyes were filled with a destructive divine light that swept through everything. Kuan-Pingzi snorted coldly. You don't have the right. He seemed to have turned into the god of yin and yang, and he was incomparably powerful. Yin and yang alternated, and the universe was reversed. The terrifying world shattered, and the 2 imperial princes finally began to fight. This time, the power was too terrifying. Even Leaf Dao Denier and Gufeng quickly retreated. They pulled away. The battle between the 2 imperial princes could destroy everything. The 4 of them exchanged another 600 moves, and stood in 4 different directions. Everyone's face was a little solemn. It seemed that if they didn't use their trump cards, they wouldn't be able to determine the winner. The Dragon Prince snorted coldly. I didn't expect that other than Lin Wudi, you 2 would appear. It seems that I have to take out my true trump card. The Dragon Prince's bloodline erupted. A terrifying aura spread between heaven and earth. Leaf Dao Denier and Gufeng looked solemn. Was the final battle about to begin? Kuan-Pingzi also nodded. It was time to determine the winner. Countless people were excited. They knew that the young paragon would be born between the 4 of them. Who would it be? The Dragon Prince's aura became more and more terrifying. He had originally prepared this move to deal with Lin Xian. However, it was a pity that he was dead. Well, I'll use this move to send you guys on your way. He was ready to attack. At this moment, an iron staff fell from the sky. Who dares to say that my brother Lin is the younger brother? With a boom, heaven and earth shattered. The Dragon Prince's pupils constricted, and he quickly retreated. Kuan-Pingzi, Gufeng, and Leaf Daodinier also quickly dodged. The area in front of them instantly turned into chaos. Another expert had arrived? Who was it that could scare off 4 top-notch experts? Everyone looked carefully. It's him. Some of the older generation exclaimed. They saw a monkey holding an iron staff, walking in the air. Wasn't that the monkey who had been crowned king? Back then, this monkey had attacked Kuan-Pingzi and the Dragon Prince. They had not expected him to appear again. It's you. The Dragon Prince's face turned extremely cold. This monkey was in cahoots with Lin Xian. He had once made him grit his teeth. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. For example, the geniuses of the Blue Tribe and the Dragon Sea Tribe were terrified. How could they have forgotten that there was such a monkey? He was also on the side of the Divine Union. If the other party attacked them, would they be able to withstand it? At the thought of this, they felt a lingering fear. However, they soon laughed. No matter how strong the other party was, could he defeat the Dragon Prince? The Dragon Prince was definitely the strongest now. After killing this monkey, they would destroy the Divine Union. Let's see who would dare to go against them. The Dragon Prince's face turned cold. Monkey, I've prepared a move for Lin Xian. He won't use it, but it can send you to hell. The Dragon Prince's body exploded with fierce killing intent, sweeping across the 9 heavens. Sun Qitian shouted coldly, pointing his iron staff forward. You couldn't do anything to me before. Do you think you can hurt me now? Ridiculous. I'll suppress you today. He was fearless. Chapter 5162. Brother Monkey, you don't have to do anything. Let me deal with him. Everyone was stunned when they heard the voice. Who dared to say such big words and call the other party Brother Monkey? Could it be? They thought of a possibility, but it was quickly denied. Wasn't that person already dead? The void in the distance was broken, and a figure walked out. Everyone raised their heads and was shocked. It's really him. He's still alive. Great. He's here. The people of the Divine Union were excited. Yi Wudao's lips curled up. I knew it. He couldn't have died. The people of the Dragon Palace were stunned. How could this be? He's still alive. The people of the Blue Tribe were so scared that they almost fainted. Lin Xian, you're still alive? The Dragon Prince gritted his teeth. This was really unexpected. Didn't they say that Lin Xian died in sky punishment? Why is he here? Sun Qitian laughed out loud. Great. Brother Lin, I knew it. You won't die. Countless voices were heard. Lin Xian's appearance caused a commotion. The older generation experts and terrifying geniuses were all shocked. A dead person was standing in front of them again. He wasn't dead. He had survived sky punishment. Oh my God, the Crown King was still alive. He was indeed a Crown King. This battle was going to be interesting. Everyone was excited. Lin Xian was also the Crown King. Who would be stronger in this battle between the young paragons? Would Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince fight again? Who would win and who would lose this time? Countless questions arose in their hearts. Kuan-Pingzi's eyes were shining with a cold radiance. Looks like we can still stand against each other. He stared at Lin Xian with a cold radiance in his eyes. Lin Xian nodded. As you wish. However, now is not the time. I'll settle my grudges first. Lin Xian's gaze swept in all directions. He stared at a figure, Long Lei. He took a step forward and stood in front of the other party. You dared to attack the people of the Divine Union and hurt my friend? Lin Xian looked down from above and asked coldly. Long Lei was so scared that she started to tremble. Her expression was even uglier than crying. One had to know that the reason he dared to make a move before was because he knew that Lin Wudi was dead, and that he had the Dragon Prince behind him. That was why he dared to attack the Divine Dragon. Now that he was facing Lin Wudi directly, even if he was given 100 guts, he wouldn't dare. What do you want? The Dragon Prince is here. Don't be too arrogant. Long Lei gritted his teeth and said. Lin Xian raised his hand and sent him flying with a slap. The dragon lightning turned into a bloody mist, its body and soul destroyed. Dead. Countless people were terrified. Long Lei was also a genius of his generation, a top-notch expert. Previously, he had swept through many experts. But in front of Lin Xian, he couldn't even withstand a single slap. This gave everyone a great shock. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people's pupils constricted. How dare you? They shouted angrily. Why wouldn't I dare? Lin Xian turned around and stared at the blue race. You've also attacked the Divine Union before, right? He sent out another slap. The blue race's elite shouted crazily, trying to block it. But with a single slap, he turned into a bloody mist. Another one had died. Everyone's hearts pounded violently. He was too powerful. A one-hit kill. He didn't give his enemy any chance to survive. After the blue race, Long Hai, Golden Crow race, and the Purple Mansion race all had top geniuses who were turned into bloody mists by Lin Xian. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 supreme geniuses had fallen. These people couldn't even withstand a single slap. The others were terrified, as if they were facing a great enemy. As for the sects and families, they were gnashing their teeth. Damn it. Lin Xian didn't care about these people. He came to Qin Xiener's side and smiled. How serious were the injuries from before? Qin Xiener's eyes were red. She shook her head. She was fine. Her foundation wasn't damaged. Lin Xian said. Don't worry, I'll take revenge for you. He turned around and stared at Gu Feng. His eyes were shining with a piercing light. It's time for us to settle our grudges. If you apologize to Qin Xiener obediently now, I can spare you once later. What a joke. What right do you have to look for me? Do I need you to spare me? Gu Feng snorted coldly. Lin Xian, you're too arrogant. You killed more than 10 top geniuses the moment you arrived. How dare you threaten me now? Although you're the crown king, I'm also an existence that cultivates the ancient scripture of earth. I can even challenge the Thearcha's son, let alone you. I've long wanted to attack you. I'm not very satisfied with the title of the uncrowned king. I want to kill you and obtain the true title of the crown king. I'm afraid you don't have the strength. Lin Xian strode forward. Then he slapped out. Gu Feng snorted coldly and struck out a huge crack. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. The void above the 9 heavens was broken in an instant. Retreat quickly. The surrounding people all retreated one after another. Another 2 young giants were exchanging blows. The people of the Gu family were extremely nervous. Although Gu Feng's strength had increased greatly, Lin Wudi was too strong previously. Everyone had heard of his reputation and rumors. Now that he had returned to the Yuhan continent, how strong would he be now? The elders of the Gu family said, don't worry, with Gu Feng's talent, he definitely won't lose this time. That's right. When he fought with the Dragon Prince previously, he was only at a disadvantage. When he fought with Lin Wudi, there wouldn't be any accidents. Maybe the two of them would be evenly matched. Everyone was looking forward to it. Gu Feng's previous performance was enough to shock everyone. Therefore, they really wanted to see the next battle. To what extent would it reach? Gu Feng snorted coldly. Kid, I'll let you know my recent strength. He roared angrily and took the initiative to attack. Void Exile. 24 large cracks enveloped Lin Xian, forming an endless black hole that swallowed Lin Xian. This move was very terrifying. Previously, the Dragon Prince was banished into the void. However, Lin Xian stood there with monstrous sword chi on his body. Countless spatial cracks couldn't swallow him. Oh God. He wasn't banished. Did the power of space lose its effect? This Lin Wudi, has he become so strong? Exclamations sounded one after another. The people of the Gu family were also shocked. Impossible. Void Exile didn't have any effect at all? Even if the other party was banished, they could accept it if he came back in an instant. But now Lin Xian wasn't banished at all. They really couldn't accept it. What a strong physique. Yi Wudao stood in the distance, shocked. The Dragon Prince's face darkened. Why? He had a feeling of uneasiness. This Lin Wudi, has he become stronger recently? Lin Xian stood there, allowing the countless large cracks to envelop him. He wasn't afraid of anything. He looked forward and said coldly, "It's useless. You're not my opponent at all. Not in the past, not now, and not in the future." Apologize to Qin Xianer obediently. You want me to apologize? Dream on. Gu Feng was also angry. Void great destruction. He formed a seal with his palm, and the power of his bloodline erupted. The great emperor's ancient scripture was activated, and the 24 cracks instantly exploded, emitting a destructive aura. It wanted to tear everything apart. Chapter 5163. Sensing this destructive aura, Lin Xian snorted coldly and clenched his fist. Six-path fist. He punched out with an indomitable will and collided with the destructive power. He charged out aggressively. The destructive spatial cracks were all shattered by him. He charged forward like a god of war. "It's useless. I told you you're no match for me." Seeing this scene, countless people were stunned. Oh heavens, he shattered again. The people from the Gu family frowned. Damn it, another divine power has been broken. What was going on? The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty, the Yi family, and even the Heaven sect were also frowning. Has Gu Feng become weaker? That's impossible. Previously, Gu Feng was able to resist the Dragon Prince for more than 1,000 moves. How powerful was that? But now he could not do anything to Lin Xian at all. Could it be? They thought of a possibility, but upon closer inspection, they realized that Lin Xian's aura was not that terrifying. Looking at the figure charging towards him, Gu Feng's face turned cold. He did not run away. With a wave of his sleeve, he used so close, yet so far. A folded space appeared in front of him. It enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt as if he had fallen into a quagmire, even though he was less than a meter away from his opponent. However, this punch did not seem to be able to hit his opponent at all. Useless brat, your understanding of spatial divine powers is too shallow. Let me show you what it means to be the king of space. Gu Feng stood there, looking down like a god. Great, he got hit. The people from the country heaved a sigh of relief. I knew it. How could Gu Feng's method be ineffective? Now that Gu Feng was about to show his power, he was going to beat Lin Xian up. I can't hit you? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It's just a folded space. A cold light burst out from his eyes, and his fist suddenly exploded. With a bang, the folded space shattered. Gu Feng took a punch to the face and was sent flying. His body flew into the distance like a kite with a broken string, directly shattering the void. He landed on the battlefield. The entire battlefield shook violently, and countless shattered black holes floated between heaven and earth. What happened? Everyone was stunned. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The eyes of the Gu clan's people almost popped out of their sockets. Prince Dragon, Leaf Daudinier, and the others all gasped. That was impossible. The older generation experts cried out in surprise. Folding space, a distance of 1 meter could be folded millions of miles. Their attacks couldn't hit him at all. Leaf Daudinier, Dragon Prince, and Kuan Pengzi had all been blocked by the folded space. But now? Lin Xian actually sent Gu Feng flying with a single punch. How did it do that? This guy. Kuan Pengzi's eyes flickered. The Dragon Prince's face was gloomy and cold. Gu Feng, who was in the distance, roared crazily. His face was badly damaged, but it was slowly recovering. His eyes were red and filled with killing intent. Damn it, what's going on? His brain was blank. Damn kid, I'm going to kill you. He quickly charged over. Void God Finger. He pointed out with his finger, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. When he reappeared, he was already at Lin Xian's forehead. It wanted to pierce through his soul. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Demon God Finger. Facing this attack, he was still fearless. He also pointed out with his finger. There were extremely terrifying demonic runes on it. The two collided, shaking heaven and earth. At the last moment, the Void God Finger shattered and broke in half. Gu Feng screamed and retreated. White bones appeared on his finger. That was impossible. Nothing was impossible. He said that he was no match for him. Lin Xian attacked. Demon God Seal. With one strike, a huge black seal enveloped heaven and earth. Gu Feng's pupils shrank. He instantly merged with the void and disappeared. appearing on the other side. However, he was then chased by Lin Xian. If not for his spatial powers, he would have been defeated long ago. Even so, he couldn't fight back. Too powerful. Countless people were shocked by this scene. As expected of Lin Wuti, the person who was crowned as a king was even better than that. Yes, Gu Feng was at a disadvantage against the Dragon Prince. He was still suppressed by Lin Wuti. Moreover, he didn't even have the strength to fight back. It seemed that compared to Lin Wuti, he was still lacking a lot. Some experts commented one after another. The Gu family's people's faces darkened. He couldn't compare to Lin Wuti? Damn it. The 10,000 Dragon Court's people had cold expressions. It seemed that Lin Wuti's strength had also increased. They wondered if the Dragon Prince had the confidence to defeat him this time. Gu Feng was flustered and exasperated when he heard those people's discussion. He had always been suppressed by Lin Xian. Whether it was in the second astral realm, or after coming to the hidden Emperor Star, Lin Xian's strength had surpassed his. Now that he cultivated the void ancient scripture, he thought that he could change the situation. He was even very happy that Lin Xian had died. But now that Lin Xian had returned alive and suppressed him, he couldn't tolerate it. Sky-severing palm. With a furious roar, he no longer dodged and struck out with his palm. This strike cut through heaven and earth. The void palm covered the sky and earth, wanting to refine Lin Xian. You're courting death. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his arm. Sword chi shot up into the sky one after another, causing the giant palm in the air to shake non-stop. Then he used Shadowless Heaven's net, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. Azura sword technique, fourth sword. When the sword slashed out, it shocked heaven and earth. Gu Feng acted as if he was facing a great enemy and hurriedly used it. He merged the void and the real, hiding in the void. However, how could he escape? If he was in the same realm as Lin Xian, it would be easy for him to escape. After all, he also cultivated the great emperor's ancient scripture. But now Lin Xian had become the great sage, and his strength had changed dramatically. Moreover, he also used the great emperor's ancient scripture. In addition to the great dragon sword soul's indestructible power, this sword directly pierced through the void. A figure spat out blood and flew out. Half of his body was split open, and blood dripped down. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. Gu Feng was injured. He was almost split in half. It was too shocking. Damn it. Gu Feng's broken body had healed, and there was a mysterious aura on it. It recovered. He attacked again. Void seal. He formed a seal with his palm and slapped out. 81 seals between heaven and earth attacked Lin Xian. They hit Lin Xian's body, making a sonorous sound. Lin Xian roared, and the 9 young divine body bloomed, blocking everything. Another sword slashed out. Gu Feng spat out blood again. This time he was completely split open. He screamed and fell into the sea of blood. No. Why? Why can you injure me? Gu Feng was completely stunned. Although he was at a disadvantage in the battle with the Dragon Prince, he didn't suffer such serious injuries. Could it be that this Lin Wuti was even more terrifying than the Dragon Prince? The others were also dumbfounded. Some of the older generation were shocked. The people of the Gu family were crazy. Yi Wudao's pupils shrank, and the Dragon Prince's face turned black. Could it be? Chapter 5164. Why did he lose so miserably? Gu Feng roared crazily. He couldn't accept it. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Stupid thing. Do you really not understand the difference between us? You're not in the same realm as me. If you hadn't cultivated the ancient void scripture, you would have died 100 times. A cold voice sounded, making Gu Feng despair. In the next moment he seemed to have thought of something and roared in horror. Not in the same realm. Could it be that you've broken through to become a great sage? The surrounding spectators also sucked in a breath of cold air. Indeed, they also had such thoughts. Even the crown prince couldn't beat Gu Feng to such a miserable state. After all, they didn't use any extreme weapons. Now that Lin Xian had injured Gu Feng so easily, there was only one explanation. That meant that Lin Xian's strength was more than 10 times stronger than before. And such a change in strength could only be caused by a breakthrough in cultivation. However, Lin Xian's cultivation wasn't that terrifying. which was why they were puzzled. Lin Xian stood there and said proudly, "That's right, I'm now a great sage." Boom boom. His voice was like thunder from the 9 heavens, causing everyone to be stunned. He broke through, he really broke through. Countless people exclaimed. The experts of the clan of the ancients and the peerless sex gasped. The people of the Gu family and the Yi family were also shocked. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court instantly had ugly expressions. The people of the 3 Dao children's side exclaimed. One had to know that the battle between the young powerhouses was a competition of cultivation, trump cards, and divine abilities. The 4 people in front of them were all peak sage kings. Although there was a difference in bloodline, they all cultivated the ancient earth scripture. Therefore, it was difficult to determine the winner. Even if the 2 crown princes had the upper hand, it wouldn't be easy to defeat the other 2. There was only one situation where they could win completely, and that was to break through to become a great sage first. This was also the reason why the Dragon Prince wanted to hold the supreme battle. They had already reached a bottleneck in their cultivation and needed a life and death battle. They needed pressure to break through. But now Lin Xian had broken through in advance, which ruined the Dragon Prince's plan. Everyone was shocked. Perhaps Lin Xian was already above everyone else. Damn it, I don't believe it. You broke through? Gu Feng roared furiously, charging over again. Using his spatial divine art, he appeared behind Lin Xian and struck out with the great palm print and the sky-severing palm. However, Lin Xian sent him flying with a kick. This was a complete beating. Gu Feng felt despair. The other party had really broken through. Lin Xian chased after him with large strides. Shadowless Heaven's net, his speed was unpredictable. The heavenly secret's sacred art locked onto the other party. At the same time, the unstoppable sword qi in his hand descended. Gu Feng screamed miserably as his body shattered several times. Lin Xian sneered and apologized to Qin Xiener. Gu Feng spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, they've gone too far. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He drew the 100,000 Devil Mountains, suppressing heaven and earth. When you attacked Qin Xiener, did you think that you were going too far? If you don't apologize, don't blame me for killing you. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Boom. Gu Feng roared furiously, and an extremely terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his body, destroying heaven and earth. Everyone's hair stood on end. The might of the extreme Tao. It seemed that the void mirror was also on the other party. Gu Feng descended like a god. At this moment he was extremely powerful. Kid, do you want me to use my final trump card? Feeling the extreme Dao Qi, Lin Xian was still not afraid. Do you think you're the only one with an extreme Dao weapon? Besides, isn't this a battle between young sovereigns? Do you want to use an extreme Dao weapon? Do you want to be ridiculed by the world? Someone like you wants to be crowned a king? You dare to call yourself a sovereign? Do you have any shame? Don't make me look down on you. Lin Xian sneered. Gu Feng's expression turned ugly, but he did not make a move. The others were also discussing this matter. Lin Xian's coronation was the peak of the sacred Abyss Tower. It was obtained with one's own strength. Whether it was Lin Xian, the Dragon Prince, or Kuan Peng, none of them were able to use an extreme Dao weapon when they ascended the sacred Abyss Tower. This was the result of countless trials and tribulations. Now Gu Feng wanted to forcibly use an extreme Dao weapon. This was already a sign of admitting defeat. Moreover, would he be able to kill Lin Xian with just an extreme grade weapon? Everyone did not think so. Previously, the Dragon Prince had also used the 10,000 Dragons diagram, but he was also helpless against Lin Xian. On the Divine Union's side, the dark red dragon snorted. Hurry up and scram. Don't embarrass yourself. Toad sneered. You dare to participate in the battle between sovereigns? Is there no one else in the Gu family? The people beside him mocked and ridiculed while the others discussed. The Gu family was trembling with anger. Gu Feng also shouted angrily. Shut up. Kid, just you wait. He did not continue to fight. Instead, he stayed in the void with a gloomy expression. Lin Xian did not let him off. I said, apologize to Qin Xing'er. Otherwise, even if you use the void mirror today, I can still make you regret it. Countless terrifying black holes appeared around Lin Xian. Everyone's expression turned ugly. If the 2 extreme Dao weapons were used, the primordial battlefield would be penetrated. The Gu family's expert shouted angrily, Lin Wudi, don't be too presumptuous. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. I am presumptuous. What can you do about it? He waved his hand and the terrifying black holes charged toward the Gu family. The Gu family's elders were scared out of their wits. They all used spatial teleportation to escape quickly. When they reached the other side, their faces turned green. Damn it, this was a lunatic. He did things without any scruples. Should he apologize? Lin Xian sneered. The Gu family's people were helpless. An elder said, Gu Feng apologized to Fairy Qin. Fairy Qin does not have the strength of a arch. It is not appropriate for you to attack her. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Was this asking him to lower his head? However, he was in a difficult position now. If they really fought, he would not be able to gain any advantage. Therefore, after thinking for a long time, he gritted his teeth and said, Fairy Qin, I was rude before. I hope you don't blame me. Qin Xiang'er's mind was blank. She had never thought that Gu Feng would apologize to her. He was a young powerhouse, an existence above the 9 heavens. Of course, all of this was because of Lin Xian. The surrounding people were also going crazy. A Thearch level genius actually lowered his head. This Lin Wudi was too domineering. Lin Wudi snorted coldly. I'll spare your life today, but I won't let you off so easily next time. After saying that, he turned to look at the Dragon Prince and said coldly, Let me see what kind of breakthrough you've made recently. I hope you won't disappoint me. The surrounding people were in an uproar. Countless people widened their eyes in disbelief. Heavens, is Lin Wudi going to attack the Dragon Prince? Exclamations sounded one after another. From the moment he appeared, he directly killed more than 10 geniuses and then beat up Gu Feng. He made Gu Feng lower his head and apologize. Then he directly challenged the Dragon Prince. His speed was so fast and his attitude was so strong that it exceeded everyone's strength. The expressions of the people from the 10,000 Dragons court changed. No. The current Lin Xian had already broken through and was above the arch. If he fought the Dragon Prince now, wouldn't that be bullying? The elder of the nest of 10,000 dragons stood out. Lin Xian, don't go too far. You are already the great sage. What right do you have to challenge the Dragon Prince? That's right. Chapter 5165. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty roared. They wouldn't allow this battle to happen. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian smiled. Why are you afraid? I'm not challenging you. Do you have the right to talk to me? He turned to look at the Dragon Prince and said coldly, Why? As the son of the Dragon Emperor, you don't even have the courage to talk to me? Shut up. How dare you? An elder of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty walked out and shouted coldly, If you want to fight with the Dragon Prince, suppress your cultivation. That's right, otherwise don't blame us for being impolite. Even if you win, it won't be honorable. Angry shouts sounded one after another. Lin Xian laughed out loud when he heard that. He looked down at the 8 barren lands and said in a clear voice, One with an unfair advantage? Suppress cultivation? What a joke! Let me ask you, what was the Dragon Prince's cultivation during the coronation? What was my cultivation? When he fought with me, did he suppress his cultivation? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty also had ugly expressions because they remembered that the Dragon Prince was at the peak of his cultivation during the coronation. Lin Xian was only at the late stage, so there was a difference of 1 realm between them. When the two of them fought, the Dragon Prince didn't suppress his cultivation. Why? Do you remember everything? Back then, the Dragon Prince was 1 realm higher than me. Didn't I still fight with him? Did I ask him to suppress his cultivation? Or were you old things back then? Why don't you say that the Dragon Prince won with an unfair advantage? Back then, I was 1 realm lower than him, but I could still injure him. Now that he's 1 realm lower than me, does he not have confidence? Lin Xian stared at the Dragon Prince with a piercing gaze. Do you dare to fight with me? If you don't, then you're a piece of trash. From now on, you have no right to fight with me. You don't deserve to be my enemy. You. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty roared in anger. They could tell that Lin Xian's words were aimed at the Dragon Prince's heart. Even if the Dragon Prince didn't fight, this matter would still be a knot in his heart. It would probably leave a shadow, which was very fatal for martial arts cultivation. How did you break through? The Dragon Prince asked coldly, his eyes dark. Lin Xian laughed heartily. You really disappoint me. You actually didn't accept my challenge. Instead, you asked me how I broke through. Are you envious? Well, as the son of the Dragon Emperor, you don't seem to put anyone in your eyes. You think you're the most talented, so you should be the first to break through, right? You have an emperor race as resources and you have the strongest bloodline, but you still break through slower than me. Your talent is far inferior to mine. What qualifications do you have to be arrogant in front of me? I, Lin Xian, do not have the imperial bloodline, nor do I have the imperial bloodline to rely on, but I still broke through to the great sage before you. There was no need to compare who was stronger or weaker. You are not qualified to be my opponent. Lin Xian retracted his gaze and stood in the air with his hands behind his back. It's lonely at the top. Being invincible is really lonely. Countless people looked up. The members of the Divine Union raised their arms and cheered loudly. The great sage was invincible. The others were also shocked. The Lin Wudi from before had already grown to such a level? Had he suppressed the Dragon Prince to the point where he couldn't even raise his head? The Dragon Prince was furious. Shut up, who says I don't dare to fight? So what if you break through? I can still defeat you. The Dragon Prince's battle intent gradually exploded. Prince, you can't. The members of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were anxious. The Dragon Prince waved his hand. Everyone, there's no need to say anymore. I believe in my bloodline and talent. Not to mention that he's only in the early stage of the Great Sage. I can even kill someone in the middle stage of the Great Sage, or even the late stage of the Great Sage. Not to mention him. I won't fear this battle, and I won't lose either. Lin Wudi attack. I'll let you know that the difference in cultivation is nothing to the Emperor's son. Oh, you want to attack? Alright, I'll let you use one hand. Lin Xian only stretched out one hand and waved it forward. Attack, or you won't have a chance. Damn it, you dare to look down on me? The Dragon Prince hollered in rage and charged over. True Dragon 9 transformations. 9 giant dragons circled around his body. Each time they rolled, they brought with them a destructive power. Lin Xian's demon god seal hit the True Dragon 9 transformations and cracks appeared on it. The Dragon Prince retreated. Damn, so strong. For the first time, he was shocked. That power made him feel a trace of fear. Lin Xian scoffed coldly. Is this your strength? You can't even take a single hit. Don't disappoint me. Take out your strongest technique. Ah. Dragon God Fist. The Dragon Prince clenched his fists and waved them about. Each punch would send out a true dragon. They danced in the air. It was also the Dragon Emperor's technique. Lin Xian used the 6 path fists to fight back. His unstoppable power shattered those true dragons. The 6 path world suppressed them. At the same time, he said that he was too weak. There was only one reason why he was so arrogant, and that was to target the Tao heart of the Dragon Prince. He knew that it was impossible for him to kill the Dragon Prince in such a situation. But he wouldn't let him off. He wanted to shatter his Tao heart. He wanted to make him feel despair. To a genius, despair and stagnation in their cultivation was worse than death. This was Lin Xian's goal. His words hit the heart. The Dragon Prince was really mad. A golden light flashed in Lin Xian's eyes. His powerful eye technique combined with his sharp words. He said coldly, "It seems like even if I give you a handicap of one hand, you won't be my match. Okay, I will let you see the great sage's strength." After saying that, he formed a seal. The Taiji diagram appeared and slapped forward. Yin-yang energy covered the sky and sent the Dragon Prince flying. One of the Dragon Prince's arms broke and cracks appeared on his body. The Dragon Emperor's blood scattered in the sky. No. Prince. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty went crazy. The others were shocked too. Kuan Pengzi's pupils constricted. How did he know the power of yin-yang? His eyes shone with black and white light as he stared at the Taiji diagram. At this moment, the others were also shocked. This Lin Xian actually knows the power of yin-yang. Why do I feel that his law of yin-yang is not weaker than Kuan Pengzi's? Heavens, he actually has such a trump card. The dragon prince spat out blood and flew backward. His face was pale. How was that possible? He felt that the attack just now had caused him to lose a lot of vitality. He had only felt the law of yin-yang from Kun Pengzi. It was so terrifying. He didn't expect Lin Xian to have it too. Lin Xian looked forward and shook his head. An ant was pitifully weak. Pooh. The dragon prince spat out blood again. He didn't believe it. He took out his dragon spear and charged over again. At this moment, the illusion of a true dragon circled around him. It was the illusion of his bloodline. He used his bloodline to the extreme. Competing in weapons? Lin Xian took out the great spear of destruction. Demonic energy surged from his body. It was as if he had turned into a demon god. The two collided, shaking heaven and earth. However, after 3 moves, the dragon prince was suppressed. He was sent flying and smashed into the void. To be honest, I can suppress you in all aspects. It seems that you really don't have any surprises at all. Then let's end it. A terrifying aura erupted from Lin Xian's eyes. The Taiji diagram appeared again, turning into the Yin god and Yang god. Chapter 5166. The two silhouettes stood tall like heavenly gods. The surrounding people were terrified when they saw this. What kind of mystical power was this? Kun Pengzi's expression was also extremely solemn. Was the other party's yin-yang law already so terrifying? The dragon prince was grabbed by the yin-yang palm and felt a huge force tearing at him. He shouted angrily and tried his best to resist. But cracks appeared on his body. Damn it. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He wouldn't allow his body to shatter. A monstrous extreme Dao aura appeared and separated the yin-yang god. He stood above the 9 heavens, and his powerful aura swept across everything. Countless people were terrified. Was he going to use the 10,000 dragons picture? Lin Xian put away the Taiji diagram and sneered as he looked ahead. You've already lost. Young supreme beings relied on their own strength to fight, but you actually used an extreme Dao weapon. What right does a person like you have to be called a supreme being? Damn it. The dragon prince's black hair fluttered in the wind as he vomited blood. He felt that his Dao heart had cracked because he really couldn't accept this fact. No. Prince, calm your Dao heart. He's deliberately angering you. Those people from the 10,000 Dragons dynasty roared crazily. At the same time, they gritted their teeth. Damn kid, if you dare to destroy the prince's Dao heart again, I'll destroy your soul. Lin Xian laughed out loud. Did he need me to destroy his Dao heart? Wasn't what I said the truth? He's inferior to me. Lin Xian stood above the 9 heavens and looked down. If you're not convinced, you can attack. If you can't do it alone, I'll allow you to attack together. At this moment, Lin Xian was extremely powerful. Then he looked at the dragon prince and Kun Pengzi and said, the two of you can also join forces. As soon as he said this, everyone was in an uproar. Let the 2 princes join forces? How powerful was this guy? He was too confident. Damn it, how dare he look down on me? The dragon emperor gritted his teeth and trembled in anger. Kun Pengzi also said, I don't need to join forces with anyone. I want to compete with you in the power of yin and yang. Yin and yang aura surrounded his body. Black and white light shone in his eyes, piercing through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Sure, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian struck out with a palm, striking out with a Taiji diagram. He charged over, turning into a yin-yang god. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. After exchanging 3 moves, Kun Pengzi was pushed back. Lin Wudi, I never thought that you would be the first to become the great sage. This battle wasn't over yet. This was just a test. When I break through and become a great sage, I will fight you again. After saying that, he flew into the distance and disappeared. He left. Countless people were stunned. They didn't expect Kun Pengzi to leave just like that. The people of the Sky Sect sighed. What else could they do but leave? The current Lin Xian was already above all the other geniuses. Even if they were to compete in strength, no one would be able to defeat the other. There was no point in staying here. Lin Xian looked at the dragon prince and asked, Are you leaving too? I'll give you a chance to escape. Damn it. Prince Dragon gritted his teeth. but he didn't dare to do anything. He was even afraid of Lin Xian's sneak attack, so he had the 10,000 dragons diagram around him. Lin Xian snorted coldly. What a coward! He felt that he had done enough. He had already caused cracks to appear in the Dragon Prince's image. He didn't need to do anything else. His strength was the Dragon Prince's inner demon. The Dragon Prince would destroy his own Dao heart. He only needed to do one last thing. After saying that, he looked around at the spectators. It seemed like many experts and geniuses had come. Well, I'll announce to the world today that I, Lin Wuti, will be the invincible great sage from now on. Anyone who dares to challenge me, or the divine union, will be killed without mercy. The cold voice resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Everyone was shocked at this moment. The young geniuses were filled with despair. The invincible great sage. The other party's title was too terrifying. There was also Old Sun. At this moment, Sun Qitian also walked out. He had been silently watching the battle. Now he walked out and stood beside Lin Xian. The iron rod shook the sky and shattered the earth. Old Sun's name is Sun Qitian. From now on, I'll be the great sage. With a loud roar, the 9 heavens and 10 earths shook. The aura that belonged to the great sage swept out from his body, shattering the earth. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Heavens, another great sage had appeared? Sun Qitian had also broken through? Everyone was shocked. Previously, they had suspected that Sun Qitian was an emperor. Even if he wasn't, he should have the strength of an emperor. If he had also broken through and become the great sage, wouldn't that mean that he was above the Dragon Prince and the others? Even Lin Xian was stunned. Monkey King had also broken through? Soon he smiled. Great, let's see what the Dragon Prince would do. When the Dragon Prince saw Lin Xian, who was known as the invincible great sage, he was already furious. Now that he saw Sun Qitian had also broken through, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his body swayed. Why? Why could these two people break through, but he couldn't? Could it be that he was really weaker than these two people? He couldn't accept it. He roared at the sky as if he had gone mad. The surrounding mountains within 1,000,000 miles kept shattering. Prince, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty have gone mad. Prince, please calm down. They are affecting your Dao heart. But it was useless. The Dragon Prince naturally knew that Lin Xian was using a psychological attack, but it couldn't suppress his anger at all. In the end, he fell from the sky. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty rushed over and caught him. Let's go. These people rushed into the sky and gritted their teeth. Lin Wuti, just you wait. I'll teach you at any time. Lin Xian said calmly. Sun Qitian snorted coldly. If you dare to go against Brother Lin, you're going against me. Everyone was terrified. 2 great sages on the level of imperial princes were more than enough to crush anything in their path. Even a great sage would have to bow down in front of them. To subdue such people, one would have to be at least at the peak of the great sage. But such an existence would be at the patriarch level even in the remote antiquity families. Unless they had no choice, they wouldn't easily make a move. After that, the battle ended, and everyone left one after another. However, the news had already spread. In an instant, the entire Yuanguang continent was shocked. The Dragon Prince was defeated, and Kuanpingzi was scared away. Heavens, the disciples of the 2 emperors actually ended up like this. Who did it? What? Lin Wuti was back. He didn't die. He became the great sage and swept through everything. Heavens, Lin Wuti was the first to break through. Countless people were shocked. This was an extremely incredible thing. What? A monkey also broke through and became a great sage? In an instant, the invincible great sage and the great sage spread throughout the 9 heavens. Everyone knew about it, and they were extremely envious. On the other side, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had cold expressions. They didn't expect that this time, they would shoot themselves in the foot. The Dragon Prince was extremely depressed. He asked around for news and finally, one day he fainted from anger. He was the one who initiated this young paragon battle to create an opportunity for him to break through. Chapter 5167. He had never been defeated in his life. However, he had suffered continuously at the hands of Lin Xian. Cracks had finally appeared in his Dao heart. This had caused his cultivation to stagnate. His aura had also weakened. No. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court had gone crazy. They had seen this scene before. Long Ao's heart had been shattered by Lin Xian, and he was like a cripple. Was the Dragon Prince going to repeat the same mistake? No, they would not allow it. After killing Lin Wudi, they were prepared to send out experts. However, Lin Xian had already returned to the Dao Heart. The ancestors of the Dao Heart were alarmed. The barbarian god ancestor had personally come out to protect him. At the same time, the Dao Heart announced that if any ancestors dared to make a move on Lin Xian, the Dao Heart would annihilate them. Damn it, they could not make a move. This guy was so careful that the people of the Thousand Dragon Court did not have a chance to make a move. The Dragon Prince's situation was getting more and more dangerous. How could this be? The Dragon Prince had been injured by the Dao Heart and had finally recovered. Now his Dao Heart had been shattered. He had to recover. The ancestors of the Thousand Dragon Court had a discussion. They had to recover the Dragon Prince's Dao Heart, even if they had to find all the divine medicine in the world. In an instant, they quickly investigated the situation. On the other side, the people of the Divine Union cheered after Lin Xian, and the others returned. The Dao Heart was also shocked. Although many of them supported the Dragon Prince, there were also people who supported Lin Xian. Now that Lin Xian had been crowned as the invincible great sage, these people were very excited. The Dao Heart immediately held a banquet and invited everyone. There was no need for an invitation. The geniuses of the great sects and ancient families came one after another. The Nalan family had requested an audience. The Fire Dragons and Dragon Lady requested an audience. The Eternal Life Hall Master requested an audience. One voice after another was heard. These people were all here to pay their respects to Lin Xian. Although Lin Xian was only in the early stages of the great sage, he had an unparalleled future. He might even become a great emperor. They had to befriend such a person in advance. Uncle Bai and Susu were dumbfounded. They had only seen such a person come to visit them once. That was the sacred assembly of the Taoists. An old ancestor of their Tao sect had come out, and these people were here to pay their respects. But now, these people were not here to pay respects to the ancestor, but to Lin Xian. For a young man to make countless experts bow their heads was enough to shock the world. Lin Xian stood with his hands clasped behind his back in the Divine Union, accepting their greetings calmly. In the world of martial arts, strength was respected. Although he was young, he definitely had the qualifications. Just the greeting alone had kept him busy for half a month. Half a month later, the number of people gradually decreased. Lin Xian also went into seclusion and did not see anyone else. Only a few core members were left behind to discuss the matter. At this moment, the arrival of a woman shocked countless people. Lin Xian was also surprised. "It's you. Why are you here?" The person who came was Yen Ruyu. She descended like a beautiful fairy. The people around the Divine Union were stunned. Morong Qingcheng had already shocked them. They had not expected such a beautiful person to appear. Bai Susu glared at Lin Xian and smiled faintly. "You're really something." Lin Xian smiled bitterly and ignored the other party's sarcastic tone. Instead, he looked at Yen Ruyu. "Why are you here?" Yen Ruyu asked. "Why are you not allowing me to see you? Are you afraid that Morong Qingcheng will be unhappy?" "How could that be?" Lin Xian smiled. "Come in quickly." He invited Yen Ruyu in. Before long, Yi Wudao arrived as well. Lin Xian also invited him in. Monkey did not leave. The few of them gathered together, which made the people of the Divine Union excited. These were all top-notch geniuses. Lin Xian, Monkey, and Yi Wudao were all emperor-level experts. However, the newcomer, Yen Ruyu, was facing the three of them calmly. Everyone even felt a mysterious aura from her. Could it be that she was also an emperor-level existence? They were all stunned. "Alright, you guys can go do what you need to do." Lin Xian brought these people to a secret room. The others could not enter. Bai Susu said, "Go do something else." She knew that these people must have something important to discuss. Moreover, it must be very shocking. Inside the secret room, the few of them sat down. Yen Ryu said, "I'm here to look for you. I think you're thinking the same thing as me. Lin Xian smiled. What's the matter? Yin Ruyu said. There's no need for the Dragon Prince to exist. The moment this was said, Yi Wudao sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be that you're thinking the same thing? He was really shocked. Sun Qitian snorted coldly. I, old son, have long been unhappy with him. Brother Lin, if you want to make a move on him, call me. Lin Xian said. I do have such a plan. Previously, I only broke his Dao heart. However, it won't be easy to kill him. He has the 10,000 dragons diagram, an extreme weapon. Besides, even if I attack with my full strength, I won't be able to kill him. I know this too, so I came to look for you. Yin Ruyu sighed. What if the two of us work together and use two extreme weapons? That might not be enough. Yi Wudao shook his head. The consequences of killing the Dragon Prince are too great. You have to think carefully. Lin Xian said. I only have half of the heaven swallowing jar in my hand, but I also use the great dragon sword soul. It's enough to make up for the lack of combat strength. However, in order to fully revive these two items, the amount of power required was simply too great. Sun Qitian said. There's no need to fully recover. Even if the Dragon Prince has the 10,000 dragons diagram, he won't be able to fully recover. As long as we restrain the 10,000 dragons diagram and separate the Dragon Prince from it, it'll be easy for us to kill him. Yi Wudao sighed. However, he was afraid that it wouldn't be easy. Now that his Dao heart was injured, he wouldn't come out easily. Even if he came out, he would be surrounded by peerless experts. There were even ancestor-level figures. Even if you guys attacked, it would be difficult to fight against them. Lin Xian said. If 2 isn't enough, what about 3? When he said that, Yin Ruyu was shocked. She looked at Yi Wudao. Your Yi family wants to attack too? Yi Wudao smiled bitterly. I can't make this decision. Lin Xian said. It's not the Yi family's weapon. Qingqing has returned to Jade Lake. Maybe we can borrow the desolate tower. It seems like you're prepared. Yin Ruyu smiled. 3 extreme weapons couldn't kill him. Okay. I've decided to attack. Sun Qitian was very happy. Yi Wudao sighed. Brother Lin, I'm afraid I can't help you this time, but I can provide you with the resources of 5 worlds. This was definitely a shocking amount of wealth. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Okay, then I won't be polite. I'll pay you back double in the future. He was indeed in urgent need of resources. Although Yi Wudao couldn't attack, he could provide resources. At the same time, he could also give advice. He said that they had to think of a way to lure it out. The Dragon Prince's Dao heart was broken, so he would definitely find a way. However, he wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time, unless they could find a heaven-defying treasure. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Okay, I'll let people spread the names of the Great Sage and the Great Sage. Create more legends to stimulate the Dragon Prince. It was impossible for him to recover his Dao heart. Chapter 5168. I'll get the Black Sea Race to keep an eye on it. The dark red dragon said. Lin Xian said. That's fine. We'll go back and discuss it. If there's anything that can restore the Dao heart, we'll spread the news. Next, they began to split up, mainly in 2 directions. First, they needed to gather enough resources to activate the apex weapon. Second, they needed to find treasures that could restore the Dao heart. At the same time, they needed to keep an eye on the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Yi Wudao brought over 5 world cores. Lin Xian accepted them with a bitter smile. Including the ones in Yi Wudao's hands, he didn't have that many worlds left. There were only 10 of them in total. This small amount of worlds was only enough for an extreme-grade weapon to fully awaken once. Thinking about it, he was really poor. Beside him, Bai Susu, Nalan Liang, and the others rolled their eyes. 10 worlds and he was still poor. If word of this got out, the great sage would vomit blood. However, the apex weapon was too extraordinary. The resources it consumed were too much. It was on a completely different level from the great sage. Thus, 10 worlds really wasn't enough. Bai Susu said. I'll go to my father and see how many world cores I can get. Right, go to the patriarch. Also, go to the clans that are allied with us. In any case, they're on your side. Just borrow some resources now. They'll definitely give it to you. Lin Xian nodded. If he became a great emperor, the clans that supported him would receive endless benefits. Thus, Lin Xian wouldn't be polite to them. In the end, Baisusu brought over 3 world cores. Lin Xian borrowed 3 from the Savage Wilderness Patriarch. Then he gave the clans that supported him 2 world stars each. In addition to what Lin Xian had before, he had a total of 30 worlds at his disposal. It was barely enough. After all, other than the heaven-devouring crown and the dragon sword soul, he also had Murong Qingqing's desolate tower. Thus, it was really just barely enough. Finally, Murong Qingqing returned with the desolate tower and 10 world stars. A total of 40. Yin Ryu could provide 20 of them. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, it was done. This time he had to succeed. They had sacrificed too much to kill the Dragon Prince. Therefore, he had to get rid of the other party. The dark red divine dragon had returned from the Dragon Sea, and he had brought 20 of them with him. He said that Long Hai was still collecting. If there wasn't enough, he would continue. This time, even if he had to pay the price, he had to kill the other party. Lin Xian was delighted. With Long Hai's full support, their chances of success would increase greatly. Now that the problem of resources had been solved, all that was left was to wait for the right time. While waiting and cultivating, the people outside were gathering information. On this day, Lin Xian frowned. This was because the heaven-devouring jar kept sending out messages that seemed to be calling for him. The sky-swallowing jar swallowed a dragon boat with many people inside. In order to keep his whereabouts a secret, he sealed these people. Now that he had injured the Dragon Prince, he could let these people go. With a flash, Lin Xian left the Divine Union and arrived at the edge of the path. With a wave of his hand, he created a vortex and a dragon boat flew out of it. Lin Xian said, "I'll leave the dragon boat behind. You guys can leave." The people on the dragon boat heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank you for not killing us, young master." They had been on tenterhooks for the past few days, thinking that Lin Xian would kill them. Now they could finally leave. Before they left, they said, "Don't worry, young master. We won't tell anyone about what happened." Lin Xian didn't care. The Dragon Prince's Dao heart had been broken by him. Why would he care about the dragon boat? Those people left. Lin Xian stared at Fairy Yuing and said, "Were you the one who kept sending me voice transmissions?" Fairy Yuying's face was pale, and she looked nervous. She said, "I'm sorry, young Master Lin. I didn't mean to disturb you. It's just that I really have something urgent and can't delay any longer. You said it's a family matter, right? Go ahead." Lin Xian nodded and didn't think too much about it. Fairy Yuing said, "Where is this place? Can you give me a map? Is Mount Eternal far away?" Lin Xian was surprised. "You want to go to Mount Eternal? That's a place of death. Can you enter?" Fairy Yuing said, "I naturally don't dare to go to the 3 mountains of Mount Eternal. I want to go to Mount Eternal. There's a place around it called the Graveyard of Stars. It's also very magical there. This time, I'm going there to get some spiritual herbs." The Graveyard of Stars? Lin Xian was surprised. Why haven't I heard of it? He had been to the area of Mount Eternal before, but he had never heard of such a place before. Fairy Yuing asked, "Young master, do you have a map?" Lin Xian waved his hand and took out a map of the Mount Eternal area and gave it to her. Fairy Yuing was delighted after seeing it. "Yes, it's here." She pointed at a place and said, "This is the Graveyard of Stars?" Lin Xian was even more puzzled after seeing it. "Isn't this Mount Eternal?" "It's considered a place in Mount Eternal, but it's not that terrifying. It won't take people's lives, but it's still very mysterious. According to our family's records, the Graveyard of Stars was formed by a star that fell from outer space. It just landed at the edge of Mount Eternal, so it formed such a strange terrain. After entering, you'll fall into a deep sleep if there's danger. Then, you'll find yourself teleported out the next day. There's such a magical place. What treasures are there in the Graveyard of Stars? Some precious spiritual herbs. But there's a rumor." Fairy Yuing thought for a moment and said, "This is an ancient rumor in our family. The Graveyard of Stars. It said that when a great emperor died, his bones fell from outer space and formed a strange place. This is also the reason why the power of Mount Eternal can't enter the graveyard of stars. It's even said that the graveyard of stars has the will of the earth. There's even a rumor that the aura of this great emperor after his death combined with the power of Mount Eternal to form a kind of fruit, the graveyard of stars divine fruit. It's said to be able to cure all injuries in the world. It's even said that it can cure injuries of the great Tao. Lin Xian was even more shocked after hearing this. If the divine fruit can cure injuries of the great Tao, can it cure a broken Tao heart? Fairy, you said. It should be able to. In any case, as long as you're not dead, any injury can be cured. Of course, this is just a legend, and we don't know. We're only going to the safer places in the graveyard of stars this time. As for the deeper places, we don't dare to go. I'll give this map to you. Thank you. Lin Xian laughed and turned to leave. Fairy Yu was stunned. Thank me for what? She was baffled. However, she shook her head, picked up the map, and quickly left. Lin Xian was incomparably happy. Although he didn't know if this legend was true, this news was definitely a life-saving straw for the 10,000 Dragons dynasty. It seemed that the graveyard of stars was the place where the Dragon Prince fell. Chapter 5169. Lin Xian returned and told Yan Ryu and the others about this matter. They were overjoyed when they heard it. Great, they would spread the news to the 10,000 Dragon dynasty. Now we can set up the plan. Should we go there first and set up the array formation in advance? The dark red dragon asked. Lin Xian shook his head when he heard that. No. It was said that the graveyard of stars was also related to the great emperor. Don't set up the array formation there rashly. Moreover, the four of us will be enough to kill the Dragon Prince. Ruffian Dragon, take the people of the Black Sea Dragons, and lie in ambush outside the graveyard of stars. If the people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty come, you must stop them. Alright, I got it. The dark red dragon nodded. Then Lin Xian looked at Yi Wudao. He said, Wudao, you don't have to go to kill the Dragon Prince. Wait in the ancient city. Once we succeed, quickly inform our allies. Tell them to close the mountain gate and avoid danger. Don't worry, leave this matter to me. Yi Wudao nodded. This matter was also very important. If the Dragon Prince really died, the 10,000 Dragon dynasty would go crazy. Who knew what the other party would do? Therefore, it was better to make preparations in advance. Next was to release the news. The 10,000 Dragon dynasty had been looking for him. However, they didn't have any news. This made the people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty very anxious. However, on this day a piece of news came. The graveyard of stars. What was that place? Some people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty were puzzled. However, the eyes of a few old ancestors burst with light. Around Mount Eternal. Ordinary people would think of it as a region of Mount Eternal. However, it had another name, the graveyard of stars. The ancestor sent news that there was a meteorite divine fruit in the nebula. If it could cure all injuries, would it make one's Tao heart proud? The 10,000 Dragon dynasty's ancestor said. The name sounded very mysterious, so it might be possible. Even if there is a glimmer of hope, we can't miss it. Hurry up and send people over. Take the meteorite divine fruit. However, that person said that according to the information we found, the divine fruit can't leave the graveyard of stars, or it will immediately turn to ashes. Therefore, if we want to obtain it, the Dragon Prince has to go personally. As soon as he said this, the dragon's ancestor frowned. An elder said, it couldn't be a trap, right? They would lure the Dragon Prince out and then attack him. The others were also discussing spiritedly. The old ancestors of the dragons snorted. So what if it was a trap? This time, we've mobilized a powerful force and an extreme weapon. Even if there are traps, what can they do to us? At that time he could even kill the enemy. That's right, the others nodded as well. They were dragons who feared nothing. Hurry up and get ready. The patriarch of the dragons ordered. The entire 10,000 Dragon dynasty quickly moved. They brought enough resources and a large number of powerhouses. Even the grand ancestor of the dragons had to go in person. In addition to him, 2 other progenitors were heading there too. The 3 old ancestors, the extreme grade weapon, and the other saints. They did not believe that there was any power that could defeat them. Even if Lin Xian had set up a trap, they were still not afraid. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, wasn't he just a heaven-swallowing jar? They would definitely be able to contend against the other party. As long as the Dragon Prince's Dao heart recovered, they would have hope. Mount Eternal, the graveyard of stars. It was very quiet here. On this day, a few figures flew over quickly and landed. They were the people of the Moon Shadow clan. They had arrived outside the graveyard of stars. Their expressions became incomparably solemn. Although this place was magical and would not fall under normal circumstances, they still had to be careful. Yu Xianzi reminded them. The others nodded. Their figures seemed to have turned into shadows as they floated in. This time, they were only at the outermost part of the graveyard of stars to search for some spiritual herbs. As for the inside, they did not dare to enter at all. Princess, that's great. We've already collected half of the spiritual herbs we need. I estimate that we'll be able to collect all of them in another 2 days. An expert of the Moon Shadow clan said. Yu Xianzi smiled after hearing that. Although this time was full of twists and turns, they had finally completed the family's mission. Everyone rest. The group of people sat down and began to rest. However, at this moment, the void in the distance shattered, and an incomparably vast amount of information rushed over. What was going on? In the graveyard of stars, the people of the Moon Shadow clan suddenly raised their heads to look at the sky. Their expressions were filled with fear. Not to mention them, the nearby families and sects also raised their heads in fear. In the next moment, they saw a giant dragon flying over in the sky. It was too long, tens of thousands of miles long. It swept across the world. The void kept shattering. All the beasts below prostrated on the ground. Even the saints were facing a great enemy. At this moment, they couldn't help but want to kneel down. It was so terrifying. It was the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court. In this area, the people of the Fire God Palace and the Hall of Longevity were also facing a great enemy. One by one, the Grand Elders looked into the distance. They're not ordinary dragons. I can feel the peak power of the Great Sage. These are the peerless experts of the 10,000 Dragon Court. What are they going to do? These sects were facing a great enemy. After all, the Dragon Prince was injured. Who knew what the nest of 10,000 dragons was going to do? The last time the Dragon Prince was injured, the spirit realm was directly destroyed. This time, was the 10,000 Dragon Court going to make a move again? Could it be that they were going for Mount Eternal? A Grand Elder of the Hall of Longevity frowned. The expressions of the others also changed. Mount Eternal, the forbidden land of death. Even the top Great Sage wouldn't dare to enter easily. However, the 10,000 Dragon Court was an Emperor clan, and had an extreme weapon. This time, for the sake of the Dragon Prince, they might really have to risk their lives to enter Mount Eternal. Should we go and take a look? Someone suggested. However, those elders said that no one was allowed to go and that they would seal the mountain gate. If an extreme weapon attacked with full strength, countless people would be turned into ashes. They didn't dare to. The Hall Master of the Hall of Longevity felt that it was inappropriate to seal the mountain gate, so he sent a group of elders and talented disciples away. It wouldn't be too late to let them come back after the 10,000 Dragon Court left. It wasn't just the Hall of Longevity. The other families and sects were the same. For a moment, this area was terrifyingly quiet. In the graveyard of stars, Yu Ying and the others were so scared that they knelt on the ground. There was a godlike will on it that made them unable to resist. What kind of existence was this? In the next moment, they saw countless figures standing on the giant dragon. The giant dragon arrived above the nebula. It was the people of the dragons. The people of the Moon Shadow clan felt their scalps go numb. They knew that this was most likely the 10,000 Dragon Court. That's right, it was the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court. At the front were 3 peak stage Great Sage, and there were many other Great Sage around them. In the middle, there was a throne. Sitting on the throne was a young man. His face was pale and filled with pain. Chapter 5170. Prince, don't worry. We've already arrived at the graveyard of stars. Once we obtain the divine fruit, your Dao heart will recover. Lin Xian, I won't let him off. The dragon prince's eyes erupted with killing intent. Then he coughed up 2 more mouthfuls of blood. The expressions of the others changed drastically. Quickly they took out their pills. They were so anxious that their foreheads were covered in sweat. There were a few ants below. Should they ask them? Some of the dragons lowered their heads and looked down. In front of them an ancestor said, "No need." They knew nothing. There was no need to pay attention to them. They really didn't have the mood to pay attention to a few ants. These people majestically set off towards the depths of the spiritual land. Yuan and the others were still nervous. If the people above wanted to kill them, they could do it with a single glance. Fortunately, they were ignored, which allowed them to heave a sigh of relief. At the same time, they felt a trace of sorrow in their hearts. They were also the genius powerhouses of a large family. However, in front of such a lineup, they were really like air. They had to leave quickly. Yu Xianzi led her people and quickly left the graveyard of stars. Although the spiritual herbs hadn't been completely collected, they didn't dare to come again. Endless starlight flickered in the graveyard of stars. Legend had it that this was a strange place formed by the descent of the stars in the outer realm. It contained a mysterious power that blocked the aura of Mount Eternal, forming a unique area. Even so, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court didn't dare to be careless. The 3 ancestors looked into the distance as if they could see through heaven and earth. However, their gazes were blocked by the starlight in front of them. They couldn't see through it. They frowned slightly. It didn't matter. One of the ancestors said coldly, they had already found the graveyard of stars. Even if they had to turn the place upside down, they had to find the fallen star divine medicine. Outside the graveyard of stars, the dark red divine dragon led the powerhouses of the Xian Ocean clan to guard the various passageways. They had already entered. A great battle would probably break out soon. Our mission is to intercept the other reinforcements of the 10,000 Dragon Court. Let's wait for the signal. The dark red divine dragon and the others were here, but the Xian Ocean clan's patriarch, and other peerless powerhouses were with Lin Xian and the others. They were going to attack the 10,000 Dragon Court together. In the graveyard of stars, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty started a crazy search. They did not let go of any place. In fact, some of the more dangerous places were also opened up by the patriarchs, sweeping through everything. However, at that moment, a sneer was heard. "Stop looking, you won't be able to find it." Hearing this, the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty stopped and their expressions changed. Damn it, it was a trap. Protect the prince. Those elders roared crazily. These people no longer searched, but instead quickly returned. They circled around the dragon prince. The 3 pinnacle great sage also roared and broke through the void. "Who was it? Get out here. You actually dared to set up a trap to harm our 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. You must be tired of living." "It's me." Lin Xian also shattered the void and stood above the 9 heavens. "Martial Dragon, do you still want to recover your Dao heart? That's impossible. I won't give you the chance." "Damn brat, it's you." The dragon prince stood up with a murderous look in his eyes. He was so angry that his whole body trembled and he vomited blood. "Lin Wudi, do you want to die?" Those dragons and elders also roared crazily. The 3 patriarchs pierced through the sky. "You're that Lin Wudi. How dare you come here and behave so atrociously? Die." One of the patriarchs suddenly reached out with a huge hand. A monstrous dragon claw covered the sky. This was the peak power of the great sage. It was terrifying to the extreme. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. With his own strength, he naturally couldn't resist it. Was this the peak of the great sage? As expected, he was strong enough. Who knew when he would be able to reach this step? Although the power was terrifying, Lin Xian didn't retreat at all. This time he didn't come alone. As expected, the void behind him split open and a bright light appeared. Another dragon claw covered the sky and smashed towards the dragon claw in front of him. The 2 collided and the sound of the Tao exploded, sweeping through the 9 heavens. A patriarch attacking a young genius. "Don't you think it's too embarrassing?" A cold scoff spread out from behind Lin Xian. Shortly after, another dragon expert appeared. His aura surged into the sky and he was also at the peak of the great sage. It's you. Black Ocean Dragons. You dare to go against the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty? Do you want your race to be wiped out? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty went crazy. Although they were all dragons, they had an emperor who commanded the dragons. The Black Ocean Dragons were their subordinates, and now they actually dared to attack them. So what if we attacked you? The Black Ocean Dragon's chief walked out. When the Dragon Prince killed Long Guang, did he think about this scene? Today he had to pay with his blood. An expert from the dragon race of the Black Sea had appeared. They suppressed the area between heaven and earth. The expressions of the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty changed. They then laughed coldly. Lin Xian, is this your trump card? Do you think that you can kill us just because you called the Black Ocean Dragons and your heaven-swallowing crown? How naive! The ancestors of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty shouted coldly. Chapter 5171. The 10,000 Dragon Court wasn't afraid. Even if they couldn't kill Lin Fan, they could still retreat. However, Lin Xian smiled. A draw? You are too naive. Do you think I planned all this just to draw with you? We are here to kill the Dragon Prince, so he will definitely die. Just you? The Dragon Prince trembled in anger. You don't have the right. The 10,000 Dragon Court's ancestor scoffed coldly. Kid, stop trying to be mysterious. Show me all your trump cards. I want to see how you are going to kill the Dragon Prince today. Lin Xian waved his hand and said loudly, everyone come out. Let them see our lineup today. Beside Lin Xian, 3 streaks of space shattered. A monkey holding an iron rod walked over. Morong Qingqing was surrounded by 7-colored light. She was like a fairy descending from the heavens. Her white robe was as white as snow, and her expression was cold as she walked out. They were split up into 3 groups. 3 young people? The 10,000 Dragon Court frowned. An elder said that the monkey was an emperor, so the other 2 should be emperors too. The 10,000 Dragon Court's ancestor laughed coldly. You're really stupid. Don't tell me you think that the 3 of them can do anything in this kind of battle? Qingcheng Ryu, they are underestimating you. Show some strength. Lin Xian smiled. Yin Ryu scoffed coldly. 10,000 Dragon Court, you shouldn't have destroyed Spirit Realm. You have committed a crime that deserves death. You want to stand up for Spirit Realm? Who are you? A survivor of Spirit Realm? What a joke. The 10,000 Dragon Court's ancestor scoffed coldly. Yin Ryu's expression turned cold. I am not from Spirit Realm, but our ancestors received help from Spirit Realm. So this time, I am here to take revenge for Spirit Realm. She formed a hand seal, and a green lotus appeared behind her. It swayed gently and shattered the sky. A terrifying extreme Dao aura spread out. The 10,000 Dragon Court's people were disdainful, but when they felt this aura, their expressions changed. They felt a chill down their spines. An elder exclaimed, Extreme Dao aura. The 3 ancestral patriarchs narrowed their eyes. You're the descendant of Emperor Qing? With the green lotus behind him and his connection to Spirit Realm, they immediately thought of a great emperor. Emperor Qing. Back then, Spirit Realm had indeed helped them. When they had attacked Spirit Realm, the descendants of Emperor Qing had appeared and saved a group of people. Who would have thought that it would be the woman before him? Their expressions became ugly. If it was just Lin Xian, they wouldn't be worried. The sword in Lin Xian's hand was only the great dragon sword soul. The heaven-devouring jar was also half a 10,000 dragons diagram, and the 2 added together were equivalent to 1. Therefore, they could easily leave. But things were different now. They actually had another extreme weapon. This way they would be suppressed. Morong Qingqing also sighed. Go to hell and repent for your sins. With a wave of her hand, an ancient pagoda appeared and spun between heaven and earth. Similarly, the might of the extreme Dao appeared. This time, 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people all went crazy. Another extreme grade weapon. Damn it, who is this woman? An ancestral patriarch of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty gritted his teeth. The desolate tower. Damn it, what does this have to do with the Jade Pool? They all went crazy. To be honest, they never thought that Lin Xian could summon 3 extreme-grade weapons. Even the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty couldn't do it. Let's go. The 3 ancestral patriarchs roared and rushed into the sky with the Dragon Prince and the others. They couldn't fight at all now. They were absolutely at a disadvantage. Want to leave? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Give me power. The ancestral patriarch of the Black Sea Dragons behind him quickly poured his power into the heaven-devouring jar. Then, the heaven-devouring jar erupted with power, forming an endless vortex that swallowed the world. Scram! The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty roared, and the 10,000 Dragons diagram exploded, tearing apart countless black holes. However, at this moment, a dragon roar sounded and sword energy slashed over, colliding with the 10,000 Dragons diagram. The two collided, shaking heaven and earth. Damn it! The 10,000 Dragons diagram was blocked. They fled in another direction. However, they were destined not to be able to escape. This time, everyone brought with them the power to kill. Yen Ryu formed hand seals with his palms, and several world cores were used without holding back. The green lotus swayed and turned into thousands of illusory green lotuses that covered the sky and earth, cutting off the mountains and rivers. The desolate tower suppressed heaven and earth. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were completely surrounded. What should they do? Those elders were on the verge of tears. Facing such a situation, there seemed to be no other way. The Dragon Prince's face was pale. Damn it! In order to kill him, the other party didn't set up such an inescapable trap? 3 extreme-grade weapons, this was unimaginable. Lin Wudi, the descendant of the Qing Emperor. Jade Pool. When I recover, I will definitely not let you off. How dare you threaten me? Yen Ryu snorted coldly. Do you think you can still escape? The Dragon Prince's pupils constricted. He roared angrily. Revive the 10,000 Dragons diagram with all your strength. Don't worry. They definitely won't be able to hurt you today. The 3 ancestral patriarchs roared, and an extremely terrifying light erupted from their eyes. Go all out. Revive the 10,000 Dragons diagram. The 10,000 Dragons diagram bloomed with light and swept across heaven and earth. At this moment, 10,000 dragons roared. Heaven and earth shattered, and the entire power of the fallen stars shook violently. A terrifying indestructible aura erupted from Mount Eternal. All the powerful families in the area sensed it. They looked at the distant sky in horror. It erupted. The 10,000 Dragons diagram was fully revived. It seemed that they were going to attack Mount Eternal. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was really crazy. These families were terrified. When the spirit realm was destroyed, they only felt it from a distant area. They didn't expect that it was going to launch an extreme great attack near them. Oomph! Do you think you're the only one who knows how to fully revive? Yen Ryu snorted coldly. She poured all the world cores she had obtained into the green lotus and fully revived it. With an angry roar, the green lotus bloomed with light and seemed to transform into a human figure wearing a green robe, looking down on the world. It was the Lotus Thearka's illusion. The green lotus swayed like a divine artifact of the celestial world, sweeping across heaven and earth. Countless dragon shadows were swept away, and a terrifying and vast aura erupted. Outside, the powerful families and sects felt this scene, and their pupils constricted. What was going on? A second extreme-grade aura. Heavens, there was an extreme-grade weapon. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty actually brought 2 extreme-grade weapons. Impossible. They were all crazy. The dark red dragon was also shocked. They had started fighting. Was the final battle about to begin? In the graveyard of stars, it shook violently, and countless stars were destroyed. Fortunately, this place also belonged to Mount Eternal, and it had a terrifying and mysterious aura. Otherwise, this attack would have turned heaven and earth upside down. But even so, the area outside of Mount Eternal had collapsed and turned into dust. It didn't exist in vain. Some small families and sects were instantly reduced to ashes. Those top ancient families and great sects had long sealed their mountains and activated peerless arrays. But even so, they still vomited large mouthfuls of blood from the shock. This was just the aftershock. Just how terrifying was the destructive strike at the center of it all? Chapter 5172. Actually, it wasn't just them. The entire Alcade continent sensed it. The Purple Mansion, the Yi family, the Gu family, and the other families all looked up at the sky. This was the aura of the 10,000 Dragons diagram. And it had fully recovered. Had the 10,000 Dragons dynasty gone crazy? Where were they going to attack? In the ancient city of Holy Origin. The three great orthodoxies also received the news. The patriarchs also came out of seclusion and looked into the distance. They wondered which place was going to suffer. However, at this moment, their expressions changed. No, the second extreme Dao aura had fully recovered and was resisting the 10,000 Dragons diagram. In the next moment, they saw an aurora coming from afar, sweeping across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The entire Alcade continent was illuminated at this moment, as if thousands of suns had appeared in the world together. All the powerhouses of the families raised their heads at this moment. It was a confrontation between extreme Dao weapons. Someone was fighting against the 10,000 Dragons diagram. Who was it? Everyone went crazy at this moment. Not only the distant Light continent, but the ancient Jade continent and the other continents also sensed it. For example, the Fire Qilin race, the Phoenix race, and the Heavenly Rock race. Those people were all shocked. The power of an extreme Dao weapon. No, there was a second extreme Dao weapon. Which family was this? They had never sensed it before. Especially those from the Emperor race. They were dumbfounded. The Kuan-Peng race powerhouses looked into the distance worriedly. They then looked at the seclusion ground behind them, hoping that nothing would affect Kuan-Peng Z. In the graveyard of stars, heaven and earth shattered, turning into an endless black hole. It was blocked. Damn it. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty were terrified and in disbelief. Did the other party also have the ability to fully recover? Damn it. They should have thought of the other party long ago. Since the other party dared to kill them, they must have made ample preparations. After that attack, Yen Ryu's face turned pale, and countless cracks appeared on her body. At this point, she was still unable to fully recover. There were 2 old men beside her. They looked worried and quickly supported her. They were the protectors of Emperor Qing's bloodline. The 2 of them had also helped just now. Otherwise, Yen Ryu's body would have been shattered and turned into a bloody mist. Even so, the 2 protectors were still worried about the Xiao clan. I'm fine, but it's really difficult to kill the Thearcha's son. Yen Ryu swallowed a pill and looked ahead. The Dragon Prince's face turned pale, and the 3 ancestors shouted angrily. They didn't believe it. They fled frantically. Yen Ryu gritted her teeth and looked to the side. It's up to you. Murong Qingqing nodded, and 2 illusions appeared behind her. They were the Queen Mother of the West and the Kunlun Master. Qingqing, we will lend you a hand. The 2 of them used the ancient Desolate Tower together. The ancient Desolate Tower erupted with an earth-shattering power as it completely recovered. Boom. At this moment, above the 9 heavens, a pagoda suppressed the entire land. All the living beings on the Yaoguang continent prostrated themselves on the ground. Those peerless experts felt their scalps go numb. It was the aura of the 3rd extreme weapon. Damn it. What the hell happened? At this moment, they were all dumbfounded. Did the 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court carry 3 extreme weapons? No, the collision just now showed that he was going against the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Which force was it that was able to find 2 extreme-grade weapons? Was it that Lin Xian? However, they didn't feel the power of the heaven-devouring irrigation. The 2 extreme-grade weapons were something they had never felt before. Which 2 great emperor clans were they? The Dragon Prince's face turned green. The 3 ancestors were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. The ancient Desolate Tower could be fully recovered? Damn it! The 3 ancestors gritted their teeth and activated the 10,000 Dragons diagram again. It exploded with light again. Their hearts were bleeding. At the same time, the surrounding dragons also turned into a bloody mist to provide power. The 3 ancestors only had one goal, which was to protect the Dragon Prince. They didn't care about the lives of others at all. Boom. The 10,000 Dragons diagram fully recovered for the second time. It collided with the ancient Desolate Tower. When it collided, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. At that instant, all of the light of Tao in the sky disappeared. The entire Brilliance continent was plunged into darkness, to the point where one could not even see their own fingers. Heavens! Will the Yaoguang continent be destroyed? Will it be the end of the world? Everyone was terrified at this moment. Those peerless experts also had ugly expressions. The 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court's expression changed drastically. Two extreme-grade weapons were attacking the 10,000 Dragons diagram. Their Dragon Prince was in danger. Quick! Attack at all costs! Countless experts of the 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court soared into the sky. They carried a large amount of resources and flew into the distance. They had to save the Dragon Prince. The Phoenix race, the Qilin race and the other monarch races were also shocked. Especially the Phoenix race, their expressions changed. This was the aura of the ancient desolate tower. Could it be related to Qinqing? The Qilin race. The Qilin sun smiled. Good, very good. Dragon Prince, it seems that I don't need to do anything. Someone wants your life. Ha 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 ha, I'm so happy. Last time, he poisoned the Dragon Prince. It was enough to show that he wanted to kill the Dragon Prince, but he didn't succeed. This time, the other party's Dao heart was shattered, and he was ready to make a move. However, he didn't expect that someone was faster than him. Who was it? Was it that Lin Wudi? He thought of someone. It seemed that he had to think of a way to kill the other party. That was because he was someone even more terrifying than the Dragon Prince. He wouldn't allow anyone on the Emperor Road to surpass him. The two extreme-grade weapons were awakened, and the world was destroyed once again. At this moment, Lin Xian's eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying light. Everyone, help me fully recover. Heaven-devouring jar. Lin Xian said coldly. The people of the Black Sea Dragons nodded. They had destroyed countless world cores and used the power of several worlds to provide all of it to the heaven-devouring jar. In the starry sky of the universe, 7 stars had turned into ashes. The heaven-devouring jar erupted with light, and an extremely terrifying sharp sound soared into the sky. Heaven and earth turned dark again. The heaven-devouring jar erupted and charged toward the 10,000 Dragons diagram. Not good. The 10,000 Dragons dynasty's patriarch's expression changed drastically. The remaining elders were even more terrified. The two sides were evenly matched, but with half of the heaven-devouring jar, the situation changed. With a clang, the 10,000 Dragons diagram was knocked back. More than a dozen elders of the dragons were instantly swallowed and turned into a bloody mist. The Dragon Prince's blood boiled as he vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, run! The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty didn't dare to resist at all. However, the ancient desolate tower and the sky-reaching crown had fully recovered. They couldn't escape at all. At this critical moment, despair appeared in the eyes of the 3 patriarchs. Prince, it's up to you now. Run back to your family. The family's experts will receive you. The Dragon Prince gritted his teeth. I'll avenge you. In the next moment he soared into the sky, merged with the 10,000 Dragons diagram, and flew into the distance. The 3 patriarchs' souls were immediately destroyed by the 2 emperor weapons. Between heaven and earth, a bloody mist filled the air. The peak great sage had fallen. The entire Mount Eternal was covered in a bloody rain. Countless people were terrified. The peak of the great sage realm was an existence that stood at the top of the Saint Plain. As long as the great emperors didn't appear, they were the absolute powerhouses. But now they had fallen. Chapter 5173. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty went crazy. The soul jade tablets of the 3 patriarchs shattered, causing them to kneel on the ground. They knew that the Dragon Prince was really in danger. That attack just now was the aura of the sky-devouring crown. It was Lin Wudi. Damn it. They roared crazily. They were not the only ones who felt the power of the sky-devouring jar. It was really Lin Xian who did it. Many people felt their scalps go numb. They knew that Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince had a grudge, but they did not expect Lin Xian to be so bold. He really dared to kill the Dragon Prince. Moreover, he could summon 3 emperor weapons. How did he do it? The people of the Gu family, Yi family, and the other 3 orthodoxies were shocked. In the distance, The Qilin race and the Phoenix race were also shocked. Lin Wudi's name would probably sweep through the 9 heavens in the future. Even the monarch races would be terrified. However, could he really kill the Dragon Prince? At this moment, the Dragon Prince merged with the 1,000 Dragons portrait and flew into the 9 heavens. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You want to escape? He activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul with all his might and slashed through heaven and earth to stop the Dragon Prince. With a clang, the Dragon Prince was forced back. He roared angrily and tried to escape again. Lin Xian roared and charged forward. His entire being was like a god of swords as he moved boldly. At this moment, he had fully recovered the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul. After using a few world cores, the Great Dragon Sword Soul exploded with power. The Dragon Prince spat out large mouthfuls of blood, and his body dimmed. Damn it! The Dragon Prince roared. I won't let you off. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You still want to kill me? Are you a match for me? Today is the day you die. You want to kill me? Impossible. He did not want to fight Lin Xian head-on. Instead, he wanted to escape. As long as he escaped back to his family, he would be safe. At this moment, a large iron rod hit his body, causing him to vomit blood. Damn monkey! He charged towards Sun Qitian. Lin Xian's expression changed, and the others also cried out in shock. Although Sun Qitian was a sovereign prince, he didn't seem to have a sovereign weapon. The Dragon Prince gritted his teeth. I'll kill you first. The bloodline in his body exploded, and the storage rings in his hand shattered. The realm core was destroyed. The 10,000 dragons diagram released an extreme might. Sun Qitian shouted coldly. You want to kill old Sun? The rust on the iron staff in his hand fell off, and terrifying runes condensed. He struck out with a blow. With a clang, it actually blocked the 10,000 dragons diagram. Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian was also surprised. Could it be that this iron staff was also an extreme weapon? The monkey was forced to retreat. His palm was cracked, but he managed to block the Dragon Prince. You're not that good either. You're still far from being able to kill old Sun. You're going to die today? Lin Xian grasped the Great Dragon Sword Soul and rushed forward. Morong Qingqing and Yan Ruyu also walked over. The 4 of them surrounded the Dragon Prince completely. Everyone help me resist the myriad dragon diagram, and I'll kill him. Let me do it, Yan Ruyu said. She knew that the person who killed the Dragon Prince would definitely be hunted down fiercely. This matter was originally Yan Ruyu's revenge. Lin Xian said with a smile. No, I'll do it. Not only do I have a grudge against him, but I also have a battle between great emperors. I'll personally kill him. Alright, I owe you a favor. Yan Ruyu and the others took a deep breath. Let's do it. They attacked the 10,000 dragons diagram with all their might. As long as the Dragon Prince and the 10,000 dragons diagram left, Lin Xian would have a chance to kill the other party. The Dragon Prince was beaten until he spat out blood. Burn. At this moment, his great emperor bloodline actually burned. He was going to fight back regardless of everything. His body quickly caved in. The 10,000 dragons diagram was covered in blood, and there was even a furious roar. In the distance, the endless void was torn apart. The reinforcements of the 10,000 dragons court had arrived. Hurry, the Dragon Prince is burning his bloodline. We must hurry. They rushed over. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon and the other soared into the sky and blocked their way. Where are you going? Scram. The 10,000 dragons court roared angrily. The 2 sides engaged in an earth-shattering battle. You want reinforcements to come? Don't even think about it. We have an ambush outside. Lin Xian smiled. Then, the 4 of them attacked again. The 10,000 dragons diagram was beaten until it shook. Finally, it left the Dragon Prince's body. It was suppressed by 2 great emperor weapons. At this moment, Lin Xian slashed at the Dragon Prince and cut him in half. The Dragon Prince screamed. You can't kill me. This time he was really terrified. His body couldn't heal. He roared angrily. If you kill me, the 10,000 dragons court will hunt you down. Do you want to die together with me? Not only you, but everyone who participated in killing me, including those related to you, will be hunted down. You have to think carefully. Threatening me? You must die in the battle between great emperors. If the 10,000 dragons court dares to take revenge, I will kill all of them. Lin Xian's eyes were also filled with killing intent. The great dragon sword soul attacked again, causing the dragon prince to scream in pain. At this moment, a piercing light suddenly burst out from the dragon prince's glabella. An angry roar sounded in his bloodline. How dare you kill me? In the next moment, a hazy man's phantom appeared and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body was shattered, and his glabella split open. He was severely injured. At the same time, the 10,000 dragons diagram also erupted, and a terrifying roar came from within. Oh no! Is the artifact spirit going to revive? Could that phantom be the Dragon Emperor's phantom? Is the Dragon Prince's bloodline already so terrifying? Yan Ryu exclaimed. Murong Qingqing's expression also changed drastically. The monkey roared and waved his iron staff nonstop. The 10,000 dragons diagram roared. He said, "Hurry, let's suppress the 10,000 dragons diagram and not let it fuse with the Dragon Emperor's phantom." The three of them kept the 10,000 dragons diagram in check. Each of them was so shaken that they vomited blood. In the distance, the Patriarch and Patriarch of the Black Sea Dragons saw this scene with solemn expressions. They didn't expect that the Dragon Emperor's phantom would come out, and so would the 10,000 dragons diagram's artifact spirit. It's too terrifying. We can't help here. Let's go and meet up with our people to stop the reinforcements. We can't let them have the resources. They could tell that the Dragon Prince was lacking energy. If the reinforcements arrived, then the situation would really turn around. Therefore, even if they died, they couldn't let the people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty come. These patriarchs and powerhouses soared into the sky and flew into the distance. They would leave this place to Lin Xian. Lin Xian vomited large mouthfuls of blood, and his glabella split open. He summoned the heaven-devouring jar to block it. With a clang, the heaven-devouring jar activated. He vomited blood and flew backward. At this moment, the Dragon Prince's body was like a skeleton, but he grinned. His voice was hoarse. "You can't kill me. My father once left me a life-saving talisman. This time, you will definitely die." Although he was so weak that he was about to die, he smiled happily. Lin Xian's expression also turned ugly. The Dragon Emperor's phantom. This was something he didn't expect. This power was too shocking and strange. Could it be that the Dragon Emperor wanted to kill him through endless time? Murong Qingqing and the others also became nervous. They were being targeted by the phantom of a great emperor. Chapter 5174. Lin Xian felt that he couldn't move at all. What he was facing now was not an extreme weapon. It was a great emperor. It was too terrifying. This great emperor's shadow could destroy it with a single glance. Die. The Dragon Emperor's phantom roared into the sky, and Lin Xian's body shattered again. However, at this moment, the demon summoning scripture in his body circulated. A demonic shadow appeared behind him and froze the world. This demonic shadow emitted a terrifying aura and directly blocked the Dragon Emperor. This sudden change stunned Murong Qingqing and the others. Then they heaved a sigh of relief. The Dragon Emperor gritted his teeth and roared. "You're the Demon Emperor. You want to protect this kid?" The Demon Emperor didn't say anything. The Dragon Emperor's phantom roared crazily. "Why? Could it be that you want to?" Before he could finish speaking, the Demon Emperor suddenly attacked the Dragon Emperor again. The two phantoms exploded at the same time. In the next moment, a destructive power rushed over. Everyone was sent flying by the blast. Lin Xian was protected by the heaven-swallowing jar, but he still vomited blood. When everything calmed down, the demonic shadow and the Dragon Emperor's phantom both disappeared. What was that? Was it also the phantom of a great emperor? Even the monkey was surprised. Murong Qingqing, on the other hand, frowned. What did he mean by that? What was the purpose of this demonic shadow? She couldn't understand. Lin Xian didn't think too much about it. At this moment he stood up. Although he was severely injured, there was the divine spring of life in his sword world. Using the power of the divine spring of life, the cracks on Lin Xian's body quickly healed. He held the great dragon sword soul and walked forward again. What else do you have? The dragon prince was in despair. At this moment, he was only skin and bones and had no strength to resist. His Tao heart was completely shattered. Even the method left behind by his father was broken by the other party. The 10,000 dragons diagram was suppressed by other extreme weapons. What else could he do? However, his eyes erupted with a cold light. You are abandoned by immortals. I curse you. Eternal damnation. A crazy voice sounded, and his face became ferocious. A monstrous blood light condensed on his body, forming a curse rune that charged towards Lin Xian. It was over. Lin Xian roared in anger, gripping the great dragon sword spirit with both hands. He slashed down with all his might. Destroy everything. The dragon prince was split in half, his body and soul destroyed. Boom. Above the 9 heavens, a large crack appeared. A rain of blood poured down, sweeping through heaven and earth. At this moment, it was even more terrifying than the fall of the great sage. Everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. They felt a sense of sorrow. Those demonic beasts were all crawling on the ground. Could it be that the dragon prince had fallen? Everyone was alarmed. This was a world-shaking event. Did that Lin Xian really succeed? Everyone from the 10,000 dragons court was crying tears of blood right now. No. Prince. Lin Wudi. My 10,000 dragons imperial court will fight you to the death. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, you will still die. Kill. Whether it was Lin Wudi or anyone related to him, they would all go to hell. At this moment, the 1,000 dragons imperial court had gone completely mad. In Holy Abyss ancient city, countless people were shocked. Yi Wudao looked up at the sky and sighed. Had the dragon prince fallen? In the next moment, a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. Then he looked behind him. There were many figures standing there. They were the Nalan clan leader, the Dugu clan leader, and Fire Dragon Lady, and the other members of the alliance. He said, the dragon prince has fallen. Brother Lin told me to tell you to retreat and hide. The Nalan clan leader, the Dugu clan leader, and the other allies were shocked. The dragon prince was really dead. They didn't dare to imagine it. However, they knew that there was something even more terrifying, and that was the revenge of the 10,000 dragons court. We will hide now. They quickly took action. They would probably go into seclusion for hundreds or thousands of years before completely disappearing. However, they didn't know what would happen to Lin Xian. Was he dead? The people of the Dragon Sea clan were terrified. The people of the Blue clan, and the others were in despair. The people of the 3 orthodoxies were also in an uproar. In the Path sect, several ancestral patriarchs sighed. They had originally supported the Dragon Prince. However, they didn't expect that the Dragon Prince would be killed by Lin Xian. He had really fallen. The Phoenix clan couldn't believe it, and the Qilin clan was also shocked. The Qilin son laughed loudly. This Lin Wudi was really something. He actually killed the Dragon Prince. However, he believed that he would be dead for sure even if he didn't do anything. Except the crazy pursuit of the nest of 10,000 dragons. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, countless people on the buried Emperor Star were shocked. The Dragon Prince's death made everyone remember the name Lin Wudi. In the graveyard of stars, Morong Qingqing and the others were shocked. They had really killed Atharch. Humph, he deserved it. Yin Ryu snorted coldly. They had finally avenged the spirit realm. Morong Qingqing was extremely worried about Lin Xian's future. Lin Xian waved his hand and enveloped the Dragon Prince's corpse, sealing it. He definitely wouldn't leave the corpse of Atharch to the other party. The 10,000 dragons diagram shone brightly, and wanted to snatch it. However, it was forced back by the extreme weapons of Lin Xian and the others. He roared and turned to leave. Where do you think you are going? Sun Qitian's iron rod swept through the air, but he still couldn't stop him. Forget it, brother monkey, let him go. We can't control this extreme weapon. Although they could suppress the other party in battle, it was very difficult to control other people's extreme weapons. Unless you obtained the other party's recognition. But how was that possible? The 10,000 dragons diagram belonged to the 10,000 dragons dynasty. Now that they had killed the Dragon Prince, It was impossible for them to obtain the recognition of the 10,000 dragons diagram. Everyone, don't contact me anymore. Hide and avoid the anger of the 10,000 dragons dynasty. What about you? Morong Qingqing was nervous. Yenryu said, we will bear it together. Lin Xian shook his head. Don't worry, I have a way to protect myself. As long as you are fine, the 10,000 dragons dynasty won't be able to hurt me. Right, wait for me. After Lin Xian entered, he gave the dragon prince's flesh to Morong Qingqing and the others. Don't waste the Thearka's essence blood. Alright, let's part ways here. Lin Xian charged into the sky. Brother Xian. Morong Qingqing cried. Yenryu took in a deep breath. Don't worry, he will be fine. If he is in danger, I will stop at nothing. What Sun Qitian said was right. I, old Sun, was also involved in this matter. If the 10,000 dragons dynasty really doesn't care about anything, I will destroy them. I understand. Thank you. Let's go. Morong Qingqing took in a deep breath. They flew in all directions. The dark red god dragon and the others left too. When they left, the dark red god dragon met up with Lin Xian. Lin Xian gave him a portion of the dragon prince's flesh and the heaven-swallowing crown jar. He said, take it. This is the dragon prince's essence blood. You need it. The heaven-swallowing jar will be in your care. If the 10,000 dragons dynasty attacks you, you can defend against it. The dark red god dragon's eyes teared up. They were brothers for life. He and Lin Xian had experienced too many things together. There was no need for words. The people of the Black Sea Dragons were shocked. Lin Xian actually lent them the Varch weapon. They couldn't repay such kindness. Moreover, Lin Xian helped them kill their enemies. They were extremely grateful. The Black Sea Dragon Lord looked at Lin Xian and bowed deeply. Chapter 5175. The Dragon Prince's death shocked the entire buried Emperor Star. He was probably the first emperor to die. The impact was just too terrifying. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was furious and immediately sent out a kill order. They wanted to kill Lin Xian, the monkey, the Jade Lake successor, and the Azure Emperor's descendant. They knew that the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty experts who attacked Lin Xian and the others had all died. However, this news was spread by the 10,000 Dragon Picture. The 10,000 Dragon Picture left and sent the news to the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty immediately sent out a kill order. When the people of the buried Emperor Star heard this, they were all shocked. It was actually 4 young people who did it. They knew about Lin Xian and the monkey. One was the invincible Great Sage, and the other was the Great Sage equal to heaven. They had become famous in the world recently. However, they didn't know about the other 2. The Jade Lake successor and the Azure Emperor's descendant. Heavens, these 2 people were also extraordinary. As for who they were, they didn't know. After the Phoenix race received the news, they frowned. Wasn't the Jade Lake successor Morong Qingqing? As expected, she also attacked. Quick, bring Qingqing back. The old Phoenix ordered. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty experts went crazy, but they couldn't find these people at all. These people had left long ago. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was furious. They first went to the Taoist sect. Countless dragons covered the sky and headed to the Taoist sect. The Taoist sect was like they were facing a huge enemy. Although they were in ancient orthodoxy, they were still in a precarious situation. The Taoist sect's old ancestor instantly came out. What was the meaning of this? The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's old ancestor scoffed coldly. Hand over Lin Xian, or I will destroy your Taoist sect. A terrifying killing intent swept through the 9 heavens. The people of Saint Distant Ancient City were shocked, and the disciples of the Taoist sect were terrified. This was because they realized that the other party had brought an extreme weapon. The might of the extreme weapon caused the space above the Taoist sect to shatter. The expressions of the people of the Taoist sect were also really ugly. The old ancestor scoffed coldly. You guys are too much. Do you really think that the Taoist sect is easy to mess with? Our Taoist sect has a long history, and many experts came from our Taoist sect. Try moving. Although there were no extreme weapons in the Tao, they were still not afraid. Because what they said was right. There were too many top-notch experts that came from them, and they were scattered across the myriad worlds. If the Tao sect was destroyed, these experts would definitely go crazy. Even if they didn't dare to attack the 10,000 Dragon Court, the people of the dragons would suffer in the future. It was hard to say when it would be destroyed. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty naturally knew this, so they only took out extreme weapons to threaten him. However, if they really couldn't find Lin Xian, they would go crazy. Fantasy World Ancestor also sighed. Lin Xian did not return at all. He didn't come back? Humph, we don't believe you. Let us investigate. The experts of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty weren't convinced. Fantasy World Old Ancestor said, "Everyone, you don't even believe me? My Tao sect has no reason to lie to you. Besides, do you think Lin Xian will come back? Since he hasn't returned, we have to take the people from the Divine Union away. Let's see if he comes back." The Patriarch of the 10,000 Dragon Court waved his hand and was about to envelop the Divine Union. The people of the Divine Union were stunned. Was he going to attack them? The Savage Wilderness Patriarch cut off their path with his blade. "You are looking for Lin Xian. What does that have to do with the Divine Union? Every grievance has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. You attacking Lin Xian is your own grudge. The people of the Divine Union have never participated in this matter. They are disciples of the Tao sect. You can try attacking the Divine Union. I will attack you today." The 10,000 Dragon Court roared furiously as the 10,000 Dragon portrait above his head unleashed a terrifying destructive aura. The entire ancient city started to shake violently at this moment. They were all in despair. Would the Holy Abyss City still exist after this attack? The Savage Wilderness Patriarch roared furiously as more figures appeared on the ground. At the same time, a few sacred weapons floated in the sky. The 10,000 Dragon Court was too much. They attacked the innocent disciples of the Divine Union. They would rather die than submit in today's battle. Prepare for battle. Following this order, countless light arrays lit up in the entire Tao sect. Figure after figure soared into the sky, their eyes glinting fiercely. They would live and die with the Tao sect. At the same time, news after news was sent to the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This was a notice to all the sects and clans related to the Tao sect. In an instant, everyone was alarmed. The people of the other 2 great orthodoxies also received the news and sent out their powerhouses. Stop. The people of the Sky sect and the Earth sect had arrived. The 3 great orthodoxies were of the same breath and branch. Although there were conflicts between them, if one of them was in danger of being destroyed, the other 2 would definitely step in. Were the 2 of them going to stop this? The 10,000 Dragon Court was so angry that he vomited blood. The Sky Sect elder said coldly, "Killing the Dragon Prince was Lin Xian's business. It had nothing to do with the Divine Union or the Tao sect. If you attack these people, don't blame the 3 great orthodoxies for being unwilling." That's right. The powerhouses of the Earth sect also stepped forward. "It's only right that you seek revenge on Lin Xian. We don't care." However, the others couldn't move. Who knew if Lin Xian was hiding in the Tao sect? "Unless you let us investigate. Otherwise, we won't let this matter rest. We won't hesitate even if we have to kill until the world is turned upside down." The 10,000 Dragon Court had gone crazy. Their Dragon Prince was dead, and there was no hope left. So what if they killed until the world was turned upside down and everything ceased to exist? The Supreme Elders of the Sky Sect and the Earth Sect came over. They discussed with the Savage Wilderness Ancestor and the others to let them investigate. Otherwise, this bunch of lunatics would definitely attack. As long as Lin Xian wasn't here, they would be safe. The 2 patriarchs sighed. They knew that this was the last line they could take. "All right, we'll let you investigate." The 2 patriarchs of the dragon tribe stepped forward and spread out their souls to investigate the Tao. After half an hour, they withdrew their souls. Their faces were terrifyingly gloomy. The Savage Wilderness Ancestor snorted. Was he here? The dragons shouted coldly. "Let's go to the Black Sea Dragons." If Lin Xian wasn't in the Tao sect, then he could only be in the Black Sea Dragons. The people of the True Path sect heaved a sigh of relief. However, the patriarchs had grave expressions. It seemed like the 10,000 Dragon Court wouldn't let this matter rest until they killed Lin Xian and the others. Everyone on the buried Emperor star was paying attention to this matter. Black Sea. The winds and clouds changed. Countless demonic beasts in the sea prostrated themselves in fear. They felt the extreme aura descending from the sky. Facing the three great orthodoxies, the dragons seemed to be afraid. However, facing the dragons of the Black Sea, they weren't afraid at all. They were only filled with boundless anger. Therefore, they directly used their extreme weapons. The entire Black Sea was completely penetrated. Countless demonic beasts were killed. At this moment, everyone was shocked. The 10,000 Dragon Court was attacking the Black Sea. Heavens, the dragons of the Black Sea wouldn't be destroyed, right? It was very likely that no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to block the attack of an extreme weapon. At this moment, countless people sighed. The faces of the Divine Union changed drastically. Not good. The Black Sea was their ally and the home of the dark red divine dragon. Chapter 5176. The people of the celestial sex sighed. The dragons of the Black Sea were finished. The people of the Dragon Sea clan sneered. Great, they didn't know what was good for them. The others were terrified. Even the top remote ancient aristocratic families were unable to withstand the anger of the Emperor clan. They couldn't provoke the Monarch clan anymore. It could only be said that Lin Xian was too crazy. He even dared to kill the Dragon Prince. Just watch, this was only the beginning. Everyone thought that the dragons of the Black Sea would be destroyed. However, inside the Black Sea dragons, the dark red dragon snorted coldly. He had been prepared for this for a long time. Patriarch, do it. The Patriarch of the Black Sea and the other patriarchs took a deep breath. In front of them, the heaven-devouring jar floated up and down. In the next moment, an extremely terrifying power erupted. The 10,000 dragons picture in the sky descended, shattering heaven and earth. However, at this moment, a black vortex suddenly appeared and swallowed everything. He managed to block the destructive blow. An earth-shaking sound rang out as a terrifying light swept across heaven and earth. At this moment, the entire Black Sea was boiling. Not only that, but the people of the distant light continent also felt it. What kind of aura was this? Heavens, the extreme weapons were colliding. Countless people were shocked. Where did the dragons of the Black Sea get their extreme weapons? The people of the Tao were also shocked. They carefully sensed and then exclaimed. It was the aura of the heaven-devouring jar. Could it be that Lin Xian was with the dragons of the Black Sea? Countless people were shocked. The eyes of the patriarch of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty shone with a terrifying light. They had to revive the extreme weapons at all costs. If the heaven-devouring jar was here, that kid must be here too. The dozen or so stars in the universe shattered, and their energy was all absorbed by the 10,000 Dragons picture. Then it unleashed a full-powered attack. Not good. The expressions of the people of the Black Sea dragons changed drastically. Quick, revive at all costs. The heaven-devouring jar. They didn't dare to be careless. Endless resources were consumed. The heaven-devouring jar shone brightly and swallowed the sky and earth, blocking this attack. However, it was still crushed to death. After all, there was only half of the heaven-devouring jar. Countless people's blood boiled. But they still heaved a sigh of relief. So what if it was half an extreme weapon? It couldn't defeat the other party, but its defense was not a problem. The heaven-swallowing jar was like the sturdiest tortoise shell, blocking attacks but never taking the initiative to attack. The people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty were furious. Damn it, come out and fight if you have the guts. Lin Wudi, you dare to kill our prince, but you don't dare to come out and fight us? A crazy voice rang out. After a few days, they launched their second all-out attack. The people of the Black Sea dragons were injured. Their faces were pale. The dark red divine dragon gritted its teeth. Damn it, just you wait. The leader of the Xianhai tribe sighed. Although the dragons could survive, the Xianhai tribe was probably done for. Sure enough, the entire Black Sea was torn apart, and endless amounts of seawater evaporated. The living beings in the Black Sea were destroyed, and blood dyed the sky red. The entire Black Sea turned into a sea of blood. Other than the dragons of the Black Sea, who were protected by the heaven-devouring jar, All the other demonic beast clans and sects were annihilated. Countless people were terrified. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty didn't give up and continued to gather resources. They had to kill Lin Xian. Endless forests and mountains. In a place very far away from the Black Sea, Lin Xian also heard the news. No, he couldn't continue like this. The heaven-devouring jar might not be able to protect him. It seemed that he had to step in. Thinking of this, Lin Xian flew towards the nearby city. He appeared there and challenged a few geniuses, causing a commotion. Heavens, he's Lin Wudi. It can't be, right? Isn't he in the Black Sea? Why would he appear here? Is it a clone? No. I can sense a terrifying aura from his 9-yang divine body. That's his true body. Exclamations sounded one after another. Soon after, the news spread. That guy actually appeared in the Alioth continent. Countless people were shocked. In an instant, the news quickly spread to the Alioth continent. Black Sea. After the people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty received the news, they went crazy. How is that possible? Are you sure? That kid is in the Alioth continent. Isn't he in the Black Sea Dragons? I'm sure. Someone saw it with their own eyes, and a genius fought with him. It's the 9-yang divine body. It's his true body. Damn it. Let's go and chase after him. The experts of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty soared into the sky and stopped attacking the dragons of the Black Sea. They went to the Alioth continent. Did they stop attacking? The people of the Black Sea Dragons heaved a sigh of relief. The dark red dragon frowned. Lin Xian probably knew that we were being attacked, so he came out. I wonder if that kid can dodge the attack? Alioth continent. On this day they were also terrified. They could sense an extreme weapon flying through the sky. The people of the Phoenix race also acted as if they were facing a great enemy. The Tianpeng race, the Fate race, and the other ancient aristocratic families were also shocked. They only sent a few people to investigate and recalled most of their princes. When the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty arrived, Lin Xian had already disappeared. This caused countless people to grit their teeth, and the others also sighed. This method was like finding a needle in a haystack. The buried Emperor Star was so big, and it was impossible to find him if he found a place to hide. The 10,000 Dragon diagram released a soul aura. The prince had been cursed. This was a clue. The eyes of the ancestral dragons lit up. They formed hand seals and searched with their curses. In the next moment, they snorted and left. In the endless mountain range, it was incomparably quiet. Suddenly, 10,000 dragons descended, piercing through everything. Inside the mountain range, in a cave, Lin Xian sat cross-legged. In the next moment, his pupils constricted. Damn it, the aura of the 10,000 Dragon diagram. The other party had found him. How was this possible? He summoned a dimensional beast and instantly teleported away, dodging the fatal attack. In the next moment, the demon god wings on his back unfolded, and he instantly escaped. Kid, can you escape? When the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty saw this scene, they crazily charged over. Lin Xian continued to travel, and he even started to burn his energy. However, every time he disappeared for a few days, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would be able to accurately find him. What was going on? Even if he used the Dragon Sword Soul to destroy his aura, the other party would still be able to find him. His face darkened. What was the problem? Was it because the Dragon Prince's corpse was with him? That shouldn't be. The other party shouldn't be able to detect the Sword World. Could it be? Lin Xian recalled that before the Dragon Prince died, he had cursed him. At that time, he didn't think much of it. Perhaps it was the power of the curse. He wasn't sure if it was the power of the curse or the Dragon Prince's corpse. He decided to give it a try. He entered the Sword World to see if the other party could still find him this time. This time, a month had passed, but the other party still hadn't found him. This made Lin Xian heave a sigh of relief. The Sword World was incomparably mysterious, isolating all auras. From the looks of it, the Dragon Prince was either a clue to the curse in this world. In the past month, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had gone crazy. They couldn't sense the other party's aura. The other party disappeared into thin air? What a joke. They had already found clues to the curse. Even if the other party left, they would be able to sense it. Unless the other party escaped to the edge of the universe, the information of the clues would become infinitely weak. However, with the other party's strength, how could he be so fast? Chapter 5177. Another half a month later, Lin Xian walked out of the sword world. Instantly, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court sensed his aura and charged over again. Lin Xian quickly escaped and entered the sword world again. This time he completely disappeared. Damn it, after waiting for a year, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court didn't feel Lin Xian's aura anymore. They were crazy. The ancestor of the 10,000 Dragon Court said. He was definitely in the Jade Continent and didn't escape. He didn't know what method he used. What should we do? Should we continue to wait? The 10,000 Dragon Court elder frowned. If the other party doesn't come out in 100 years, do we have to wait for 100 years? They couldn't afford to wait at all. The other party was young. After 100 years of seclusion, his strength broke through and he swept through the world. As for them, they were in a hurry to take revenge. The one who killed the Dragon Prince was Lin Xian, but there were 4 people who attacked the Dragon Prince. Now they couldn't find Lin Xian. What about the other 3? This kid was too evil and had many methods. Send people to stay in the Jade Continent to search for his whereabouts. At the same time, we will chase after the other 3 and attack anyone related to them. Use all the forces under us to spread the news. Let's spread the news. I want to see if this kid will come out when he finds out that all the people and sex related to him have perished. Let's go. The ancestor of the 10,000 Dragon Court left with his men. Next, the 10,000 Dragon Court sent out an order. The Dragon Sea Race, Thunder Dragon Race, Flying Dragon Race, Blue Race, and Feather Race. All the families and sex related to them moved out. They crazily attacked the families and sex related to Lin Xian. At the same time, the 10,000 Dragon Court searched for the monkey, the Jade Lake successor, and the Azure Emperor successor. Finally, after expending endless effort, they learned that the Jade Lake successor was Morong Qingqing of the Phoenix race. They once again charged towards the Jade Continent and arrived at the Phoenix race. Hand over Morong Qingqing, or don't blame us for being impolite. The Phoenix race leader walked out and said coldly, "If you want to fight, I'll accompany you." The old Phoenix's eyes were filled with killing intent. The 10,000 Dragon Court attacked crazily, and the 10,000 Dragon diagram exploded. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The father and son of the Phoenix clan made their move, and the extreme weapons of the Phoenix clan also erupted. At the same time, another extreme Dao weapon erupted, blasting the 10,000 Dragons diagram back. The power of the ancient desolate tower. The 10,000 Dragon dynasty's old ancestor hollered in rage. Morong Qingqing, you really are here. Come out and accept your death. Morong Qingqing stood in the air with the ancient desolate tower in her hands, and said coldly, "Damn you, Dragon Prince. Go back." The 10,000 Dragon dynasty's people were furious. Do you believe that I won't destroy Jade Lake right now? They prepared to leave and attack the Jade Pool. Morong Qingqing's expression changed. In the next moment, she said coldly, "If you dare to destroy the Jade Lake, I will destroy the 10,000 Dragon Court. You only have one extreme weapon and you keep it on you. As long as you leave, I will bring people to wipe out the 10,000 Dragon dynasty." Damn, the 10,000 Dragon dynasty people were crazy. That was indeed the case. They were able to destroy the Jade Lake, because the Jade Lake Desolate Tower had left. It was in the hands of Morong Qingqing. They were in the same situation. If they brought the 10,000 Dragon diagram and swept across the world, then their headquarters would be in danger. Good Morong Qingqing. Just you wait. The 10,000 Dragon Court's people gritted their teeth. This Morong Qingqing was even more difficult to deal with. With the ancient desolate tower and the support of the Phoenix race, they couldn't defeat her with 2 extreme weapons. They could only give up. Next, they chased after the monkey and the Azure Emperor's successor. They really found the monkey. Countless people chased after him. After a huge battle, the monkey was injured and left. However, it was impossible for the 10,000 Dragon Court's people to kill the monkey. The iron rod in the monkey's hand was too terrifying. It might even be an extreme weapon. They didn't succeed, but the chase didn't stop. As for the Azure Emperor's successor, he was more mysterious and they couldn't find him for a while. However, Yenryu took the initiative to walk out. Furthermore, she summoned the monkey and had it come to the Demon Emperor Mountain. Damn it, it was actually someone from the Monster Emperor Mountain. The 10,000 Dragon Court's people charged over with killing intent and attacked the Monster Emperor Mountain. However, the Azure Emperor's successor, Yenryu, also had an extreme weapon. Although the Monster Emperor Mountain's power was suppressed, they still managed to protect it. Moreover, the monkey came to the Monster Emperor Mountain, and the two extreme weapons suppressed the 10,000 dragon picture. The 10,000 Dragon Court's people were furious. The others were also shocked. In the past few years, the 10,000 Dragon Court had been attacking the buried Emperor Star crazily. As for the people on the buried Emperor Star, they were terrified. Every day there would be big news. In the end they realized that the 10,000 Dragon Court couldn't kill a single one of them. At the same time, they knew why the Dragon Prince had died. Lin Xian had the Heaven Swallowing Jar, which was half an extreme weapon. The remaining 3 people were even stronger, and each of them had an extreme weapon. For extreme weapons were used against one Dragon Prince. It would be strange if the Dragon Prince didn't die. Lin Xian was too terrifying. Even his friends were so terrifying. Countless people were terrified. Even the princes frowned. The Qilin son had a serious expression. It seemed that he had to be careful in the future. For extreme weapons were indeed difficult to deal with, but he wasn't afraid. It could only be said that the Dragon Prince was too careless and stupid. Now that he knew that the other party's friends were so powerful, he naturally wouldn't let them join forces. He had to defeat them one by one. Of course, he was going to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. He would let these people fight with the 10,000 Dragon Court first. It would be best if both sides were injured. The Kuanping race. The Yin and Yang laws surrounded them, but at this moment, it was abnormally quiet. The Kuanping race gathered information from time to time. At the same time, they took defensive measures. Their Kuanping son was in seclusion to break through to the great sage. On this day, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. With a long roar, black and white lights turned into divine swords that shot into the clouds. A vast great sage aura flew out from the secret room. The Kuanping race was delighted. Great, he broke through. The Kuanping son had finally broken through. The Kuanping race walked over and stood in front of the secret room excitedly. Congratulations, Your Highness. Congratulations, Your Highness. The door slowly opened and a man surrounded by black and white aura appeared. He was like a yin and yang god. His eyes were like lightning and the corners of his mouth curled up. My power is more than 10 times stronger than before. Lin Wudi, this time I will let you know how powerful I am. With a cold snort, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. At the same time he said, send a challenge to Lin Wudi. I want to challenge him. Also tell me, has the Dragon Prince broken through? Kuanping Sun had fought with Lin Xian for 3 moves and left after losing. Now that he had broken through, the first thing he wanted to do was to challenge Lin Xian. He wanted to prove to the world that he was never afraid of anyone at the same level as him. Of course, he was also concerned about the Dragon Prince. This was a prince who wasn't weaker than him. Had he broken through before him? In front of him, the Kuanping race's powerhouses were stunned and had strange expressions. They didn't know what to say. What's wrong? Kuanping Sun frowned. Could it be that the Dragon Prince broke through before me? This guy is really fast. Chapter 5178. An elder of the Kuanping race walked out and said, Your Highness, the Dragon Prince is dead. What? Kuanping Zi was stunned. He couldn't believe his ears. He asked, Did the Dragon Prince lose to Lin Xian again? The elder in front shook his head. His Highness didn't lose, he died. Kuanping Zi's pupils constricted, and his heart almost stopped beating at this moment. The Dragon Prince is dead. He's in the arch. He's dead. Who did it? He asked quickly. Heavens, how many years has it been since I went into seclusion? 3 years. The arch has died. What exactly happened? It's Lin Wudi who killed him, an elder said. Kuan Pengzi almost fainted. He roared angrily. What did you say? Did Lin Wudi kill him? Does Lin Wudi already have such strength? At this moment, he felt that his Dao heart was about to collapse. He admitted that Lin Xian was very strong. He was the first to break through and become the great sage. He could even defeat him and the Dragon Prince. However, being defeated and dying were two different things. As Thearchs, they had supreme weapons to protect themselves. Even if they were defeated, they wouldn't die. What exactly is going on? Tell me clearly. Kuan Pengzi roared crazily. Your Highness, don't be anxious. It's not what you think. Seeing that Kuan Pengzi's aura was unstable, the elders of the Kuan Peng race were also worried. Your Highness, calm your Dao heart, and listen to me slowly. They told him what had happened in the past 3 years. Kuan Pengzi's expression was extremely solemn. It wasn't what he thought. Lin Xian didn't kill him alone. Instead, he gathered a group of powerhouses and 3 supreme weapons. There might even be 4 supreme weapons. Damn it, Lin Wudi actually has such means. No wonder the Dragon Prince died. Not to mention the other party, even if he encountered such a situation, he would die without a doubt. Monkey, the successor of the Jade Lake and the Azure Emperor. Kuan Pengzi frowned. Among them, he already knew that the successor of the Jade Lake was Morong Qingcheng. It was the 7-colored phoenix of the Phoenix clan. No one knew who the successor of the Azure Emperor was, but the other party was at the Demon Emperor Mountain. As for the origin of this monkey, it was a little mysterious. What kind of great emperor's descendant was this? Was the iron rod in his hand an extreme weapon? Those from the Kuan Peng race also frowned. The monkey's identity was a little terrifying, as if it could be traced back to millions of years ago. 1,000,000 years ago. Kuan Pengzi frowned. Who knew about something that happened so long ago? However, regardless of their identities, Kuan Pengzi still remembered them in his heart. Be careful in the future. However, the Kuan Peng race's people said that their situation wasn't good. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty used all of its power to hunt down these people. Furthermore, the clans and sects related to these people were all attacked. Many clans and sects had already been destroyed, and many experts had fallen. This was a war that would probably last for many years. That was indeed the case. Another elder said, Your Highness, you should stay in the clan and cultivate during this period of time. Kuan Pengzi nodded. What they had said was right. All the clans and sects related to the Divine Union had been affected. Even the families of the members of the Divine Union were being suppressed. Some of them were directly shattered into pieces. As for those top clans, they had already closed their doors. However, they were still injured. In any case, their days were very tough. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty spread the news. They were the ones who made Lin Xian and the others go crazy. Then, they would come out to take revenge. At that time, they would have a chance. Although the other party had a lot of Emperor weapons, their foundation wasn't as strong as the Emperor race. The foundation of the Emperor race surpassed everything. When the time came to compete in terms of endurance, they would definitely be able to sweep everything. If the few Emperor weapons couldn't be fully recovered, the one key all-purpose diagram would be able to sweep everything. It would be better to snatch the enemy's weapons. Therefore, they had to make a move regardless of the price. In fact, they even began to frantically sweep through the world in the universe. They came to occupy those resources. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty could be said to have started the craziest mode. In an instant, the universe fell into darkness. As a result, the top genius experts all went into seclusion to avoid this crisis. Inside the sword world, Lin Xian had been cultivating. He knew that the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would definitely not give up. It was useless for him to go out now. The most important thing was to increase his strength and cultivation level. When his strength increased, he would kill the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty with Monkey, Qingcheng, and the others. At that time, he would directly destroy the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Beside him was the Dragon Prince's corpse. He had to admit that the other party's body was full of treasures. The Hellfire Dragon immediately rushed up and said, Oh my God! Kid, What kind of existence did you kill? Why do I feel so terrified when I feel his bloodline? Lin Xian glanced at him and said, You don't know him, right? This is the descendant of the Dragon Emperor. What? You killed an emperor's son? And it's the emperor's son of the dragons. How did you do it? As a top expert, the Hellfire Dragon naturally knew how terrifying the emperor's son was. Killing the emperor's son was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. You don't have to worry about that. You only know that you had better behave yourself. Otherwise, I have the ability to destroy you. The Hellfire Dragon shook his head. We are friends, how can we fight? It will hurt our friendship. He lowered his head and smiled. Hee, let's meet and share some. He wanted a bit of the Dragon Prince's flesh and blood. Lin Xian glanced at him. No way, these are all mine. Damn kid, don't be so stingy. Give me a drop of essence blood, okay? Alright, since you have helped me suppress experts before, I will give you a drop of essence blood. Lin Xian waved his sleeve, and the Hellfire Dragon caught it. Ha ha ha. Thank you very much. He rushed inside and began to refine it. Lin Xian also formed seals with his palms to refine the other party's power. This was definitely a treasure trove. Lin Xian absorbed it with all his might. He felt that his cultivation was increasing. At the same time, the Graveyard of Stars was also in chaos. A few Emperor weapons had collided and swept across this place, turning it into a land of death. No one dared to get close. However, a silhouette appeared there. This person had a handsome face and there was a black vortex in his eyes. When those terrifying powers got close to him, they were swallowed up. He was Yao Guang. At this moment, he used the demonic sky-devouring technique, and came here to observe the surroundings. He heard that a few peak great sage had died here, and were they all turned into blood mist? Extreme-grade weapons were indeed powerful. He formed seals with his palms and swallowed heaven and earth. There was still some blood mist left in the world that quickly gathered towards him. It was swallowed by him. No, it was too little. He was unwilling to give up and continued to search. The Dragon Prince was dead. Was his body taken away? That damned Lin Xian, he didn't leave anything for me. He came here this time to find the Dragon Prince's body. If he could devour a martial monarch's son, his strength would undergo a tremendous change. But now, it seemed that what he wanted was taken away by the other party. Damn it. Lin Xian, just you wait. One day, I will swallow you too. The sky-devouring jar is mine. Chapter 5179. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty didn't give up. At the same time, they started to look for new allies. After all, they only had one extreme weapon, and it was too dangerous. They found the Z Mansion and the Gu family. They had already found out about the grievances between the Z Mansion and Lin Xian. The two of them were enemies, so they were prepared to work with the Z Mansion. In the Z Mansion main hall, the Z Mansion Lord looked at the experts of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty and smiled. It was possible to work together, but the other party's alliance had too many extreme weapons. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty expert scoffed coldly. Okay, we have already found out. Although your Z Mansion didn't have an emperor, you have an extreme weapon, the Dragon Pattern Cauldron. I was right? The Z Mansion Lord's pupils constricted. Since you know, then I won't hide it from you. Okay, but let me make it clear. After killing Lin Xian, we have to share the Earth Emperor legacy with him. That was not a problem. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty expert nodded. The Z Mansion Lord continued. He still had two treasures on him. The Heaven-Swallowing Jar, and the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul belonged to you dragons. We don't want it, but you have to give us the Heaven-Swallowing Jar. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty old ancestor's expression was dark and cold. He thought about it for a long time before nodding. Okay, no problem, it's a deal. The Z Mansion Lord smiled. Then let's have a good cooperation. After that, the Violet Palace Realm cultivators also began to search for Lin Xian. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty came to the Gu family. They discussed with the Gu family. The Gu family was a little hesitant, but under Gu Feng's insistence, they agreed to work together. Gu Feng really wanted to kill Lin Xian. Moreover, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty agreed that once Lin Xian died, They would give the Gu family a copy of the Nine-Yang God body and the emperor's ancient scripture. The Gu family didn't care about other things, but having an emperor's ancient scripture was really important to their development. They couldn't reject it. Just like that, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty gathered 2 powers. This way, even if they were in danger, they could take out 3 extreme weapons to block. It could be said that their strength increased by several times. All of a sudden, Lin Xian and the other situation became even more dangerous. On the other side, inside the sword world, Lin Xian had been cultivating. His cultivation had increased by a large margin, but there was still a long way to go before he could break through to the Great Sage mid-stage. However, compared to when he had just broken through, his realm was much more stable. His strength was also growing steadily. But right now there was one thing that gave him a headache, and that was that he was unable to leave the sword world. As soon as he left, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would discover him and hunt him down. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty could gather countless resources to revive extreme weapons. But he couldn't. He couldn't afford it. Therefore he had to think of a way. Lin Xian frowned. It was all because of the damn curse of the Dragon Prince. He tried to use the Great Dragon Sword Soul to destroy it. However, it was released by the Dragon Prince before he died. It was very strange. For a moment, he was actually unable to destroy this power. He called the Hellfire Dragon over. The two of them discussed. The Hellfire Dragon studied for a while and finally came up with a solution. Using the Great Dragon Sword Soul as a seal, he temporarily sealed Lin Xian's aura. This way he could avoid detection. However, the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul couldn't be used. This was also very dangerous for Lin Xian. After all, the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul was equivalent to the Heaven-Swallowing Jar. It was equivalent to half an extreme weapon. Lin Xian thought about it and said, "It's fine. As long as the opponent doesn't use an extreme weapon, I don't need to use the Great Dragon Sword Soul. As for the others, it's not enough for me to use the power of the Great Dragon Sword Soul." This wasn't a long-term plan. Lin Xian knew that he just wanted a chance to get out. After getting out, he would find a way to break this curse. Next, Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul to seal his aura. Then he walked out. After leaving this world, Lin Xian began to wait. He waited for 5 days, but no one came. He let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this method was temporarily feasible. Next, he had to find a way to break it. With a wave of his hand, a black robe appeared on his body and covered his body. Then he tore open the void and disappeared. Regarding the matter of Lin Wudi and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty, the entire buried Emperor Star was incomparably shocked. At the same time, another matter swept out. At first, it was only in a few clans. Later on, it spread out in all directions. The first to receive the news was the Golden Crow clan. However, they weren't able to block this news. Soon, the other clans also found out. This matter didn't happen on the buried Emperor Star. Instead, it happened outside the buried Emperor Star. In the starry sky, there was a sun near the buried Emperor Star. It was abnormally terrifying. When the people who returned from the outer space passed by, they discovered that the sun had changed. There was an illusion of a palace on it. It was abnormally mysterious. Some people even tried to investigate it, but were burned by the terrifying sun god flame. However, there were still experts who returned and recorded it with a formation. The illusion of the Sun Palace was transmitted back. After the Golden Crow clan obtained it, they were shocked. They discovered that it was the Sun God Palace. This shocked them. Their Golden Crow clan used to live on the sun. They devoured the sun's flames to form the Golden Crow flames. They were extremely terrifying and were revered by countless people. Apart from that, there was only one other person who could have such an ability. The legendary Great Emperor Ziyang. The Sun God Palace was very likely Great Emperor Ziyang's palace. Thinking of this possibility, they were extremely excited. Everything related to the martial monarchs was mysterious and supreme. If they could obtain it, their clans would undergo earth-shattering changes. It was even possible that a Golden Crow Great Emperor would appear. How could they not be excited? Therefore, the first thing they thought of was to block the news, and then quickly move out. They headed to the Sun God Palace. However, this news wasn't obtained by their clans. Therefore, it was too late for them to block it. The other clans and sects also obtained it. Soon, someone recognized that it was the Sun God Palace. It was very likely that it was Great Emperor Ziyang's palace. Heavens! Was there a Great Emperor's inheritance inside? Even if there wasn't, there would definitely be relics and cultivation techniques left behind by a Great Emperor. Perhaps they could comprehend the Tao of a Great Emperor. Countless people went crazy. At this moment, they prepared to head to the sun. The news spread very quickly. It spread from the Grand Pure Ancient City, and swept across the Brilliance continent. Then it swept across the entire buried Emperor Star. Countless people learned about it. At this moment, the eyes of the remote antiquity families and the peerless sects were all red. Soon peerless experts headed over. However, the news came again. Those who were heading over were blocked. What was going on? Everyone was terrified. Could it be that they could only look at the Sun God Palace but not enter? Soon they found out. This Sun God Palace was extremely mysterious. Normally, when a great sage entered, he would be burned to ashes by the flames. Chapter 5180. There was a barrier. Very soon these experts finished their investigation. The peak of the great sage was restricted by cultivation and couldn't enter. In other words, only those below the peak of the great sage could enter. And because of the terrifying flames, an ordinary great sage would definitely die if they entered. In the end, only those in the middle of the great sage and the late of the great sage could enter. After finding out, the clan of the ancients and the great sects quickly gathered their forces. They gathered the people of these two realms. Among them, the late of the great sage was the main. They brought powerful holy weapons and prepared to go. Of course, this time they also saw it as an experience, so they also brought a group of outstanding genius disciples. In an instant, these people set off. Not only these families, the people of the emperor race also moved. Their families had produced great emperors before. They also knew how terrifying a great emperor was. They couldn't miss anything related to the great emperor. The Gu family, Yi family, Kuimping family, and Phoenix family all went. The Thousand Dragon Court also prepared to move. They sent a group of people. Most of them were still searching here. Among them, they had discussed whether Lin Xian would go or not. But they quickly rejected it. If this kid was really so daring, he was too reckless. One had to know that he had a curse on him. Thinking about it, he should be staying in some magical place and couldn't come out. Once he went out, they would immediately find out. And this magical place, they guessed that it was most likely a forbidden land of death like Mount Eternal. But they didn't know how he got in. They guessed that Lin Xian wouldn't go, so most of the dragons wouldn't go either. After all, the dragon prince had fallen. They could only vent their hatred by killing Lin Xian. They didn't care about the other treasures. When Lin Xian heard the news, he was also surprised. Sun God Palace? He didn't expect another great emperor's palace to appear. To be honest, he was very tempted. He needed the power of the earth more than the emperor race. The Hellfire Dragon was also surprised. Sun God Palace, Great Emperor Ziyang's palace? Incredible, he didn't expect it to appear at this time. Lin Xian said, "You know this emperor?" The Hellfire Dragon said that he had heard of this great emperor before. The Purple Sun Divine Flame was extremely terrifying. It was said that when he was young, he had once fought against the Golden Crow clan. He swept through the Golden Crow clan. The Golden Crow clan was on the verge of decline. Later on, he fought all over the world and became a great emperor. Brat, going there is good for you. After all, you also cultivate the 9-yang divine body. And there was another possibility. If you can find a strand of Purple Sun Divine Fire, perhaps I can use the divine power of the flame to burn away your curse. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Really? Right now this curse was giving him a huge headache. Of course it was real. If it was really the flame left behind by the great emperor, the Dragon Prince's curse would be nothing. Alright, let's go to the Sun Palace as well. Lin Xian's figure flashed as he quickly flew towards the outer space. In the starry sky of the universe, a sun shone brightly. From time to time, illusions of palaces would appear above it. What was even more shocking was that there were powerful beings entering the sun from time to time. They tore through the flames and arrived on the star. The sun was also a star. However, there were flames on it. It was extremely terrifying. So much so that no living beings could live here. Of course, it was not absolute. For example, the legendary golden crow lived on the sun. Other than that, there were also some extremely terrifying creatures that would appear here. The number was small, but the appearance of one was extremely terrifying. At this moment, a black-robed man descended from the sky. When he landed on the sun, the surrounding flames rushed over crazily, wanting to tear him into pieces. He let out a cold snort. The flames entered his body and disappeared without a trace. This black-robed man was Lin Xian. Others were afraid of the sun, but he felt extremely comfortable when he arrived. The flames here were invisible resources for the 9-yang divine body. Therefore, Lin Xian felt as if he was walking on flat ground here. This sun is really a good place. If I cultivate here, my 9-yang divine body will probably improve a lot. Lin Xian was overjoyed. Soon, he narrowed his eyes and looked around. His eyes emitted a terrifying light. The sun was too big. He didn't know where the great emperor's palace was. It was just an illusion. It was difficult to find. Lin Xian was suddenly stunned. He sensed a familiar aura. It was the aura of reincarnation. The 6 Paths Itinerant. Was he here too? Lin Xian had fought with the 6 Paths Itinerant in the ancient city before. He was a terrifying great sage. However, he was later suppressed by him and planted an imprint on him, making him his battle servant. After that, Lin Xian had many things to do and didn't pay attention to him. He didn't expect him to come. He formed a seal with his palms and gave an order. Then he waited with his hands behind his back. About half a day later, a figure flew over from afar. He had a terrifying aura on him. That person knelt on the ground on one knee. "Get up," Lin Xian said calmly. He nodded. "Your strength has increased a lot compared to before." The 6 Paths Itinerant was very respectful. "Thanks to you, I have had a fortuitous encounter recently." If others saw this scene, they would definitely be stunned. The 6 Paths Itinerant, the terrifying great sage. He was an expert of the 6 Paths Gate, and an expert on the Saint Origin ranking. But in front of Lin Xian, he was extremely respectful. Tell me about the situation on the sun. Are there any clues about the Sun God Palace? The sun is very big. Now countless families and sects have arrived. However, don't worry. There is a barrier here. A peak great sage can't enter. Ordinary sages are too weak. Most of them are mid-stage great sage and great sage. Everyone is still looking for it. However, since I came earlier than the rest, I did manage to get some clues. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Oh, bring me there. He didn't expect the 6 Paths Itinerant to be able to find clues. Young master, please follow me. The 6 Paths Itinerant led the way. Then he told Lin Xian about his previous experience. Actually, Lin Xian didn't need him to tell him. He had already used his soul imprint to find out. The 6 Paths Itinerant saved a few people. And these people seem to have found the Sun Palace by accident. After flying for about a day, the 6 Paths Itinerant landed. There was a big crack in front of them, forming a small valley. There were arrays around it. They were set up by the 6 Paths Itinerant. He waved his sleeve, and a passage appeared in the array. The 6 Paths Itinerant invited Lin Xian in. The next moment, the array recovered, and the two entered the valley. In the valley there were 2 figures. They looked very weak. They leaned against the mountain wall, and their eyes were a little dull. When they saw someone come, their nervous bodies trembled. But when they saw the 6 Paths Itinerant, they were relieved. They heaved a sigh of relief. "Senior, you're finally back." Soon they were stunned. They saw someone beside the 6 Paths Itinerant. It was a person in a black robe. Chapter 5181. Tell me what happened to you. The 6 Paths said in a deep voice. There were 2 young men in front of him. Their faces were pale and they were injured. Hearing that, one of the young men took a deep breath and said, "The situation is like this. 5 days ago, a group of people from our family was searching. Gradually, we entered a valley. At first, we didn't think much of it. However, all of a sudden, terrifying flames erupted from the valley. Many demonic beasts rushed out and began to attack us crazily. Many of our family members died. It was our elders who risked their lives to escort the two of us out of here. But even so, we barely made it out alive. Those monsters chased after us. Fortunately, we met Senior. Otherwise, we would have been dead." "Monsters? What kind of monsters were they?" Lin Xian frowned. What else could live on the sun except for the golden crow? The two young men seemed to have thought of something. Their faces were filled with fear. They said in a trembling voice, "Crows, crows surrounded by flames. They're too terrifying. We're also from the fire family, but our flames can't stop them. In fact, their claws could easily tear apart our defenses." Lin Xian frowned. The Six Paths said, "They're fire crows, sunfire crows. They're beasts of heaven and earth. They're living on the sun and have swallowed endless sunfire. That's why they're so terrifying. When I saved them, only a few of them were chasing after us. That's why I was able to save them. If there were so many sunfire crows, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. I might even have died." So that was the case. Lin Xian finally understood. He looked ahead and said, "Do you still remember that valley? Take me there." Hearing that voice, the two young men were stunned, because the voice was also very young. They were very surprised. In their opinion, the person who could make the Six Paths so respectful should be an extremely terrifying old monster. But why did it feel like the other party was a young man? However, they soon forgot about this matter, because the other party's words made them terrified. "Go to that valley again?" They quickly shook their heads. "Senior, please spare us. It wasn't easy for us to come out alive. If we go in again, I'm afraid we'll die. Don't worry. With me here, you'll be safe," Lin Xian said faintly. He felt that the valley was very likely a clue. Therefore, he would not miss it. The two of them hesitated. Did the Six Paths' face darken? "Do you dare to disobey, young master? Do you believe that I won't care about you right now and bury you in the sun?" The two of them were shocked. "Young master." The black-robed man in front of them was indeed a young man. At the same time, they were terrified. "Senior, please spare my life." "Young master, please spare my life. We'll go. We'll lead the way, all right?" Next, the two of them began to lead the way. The further they went, the more terrifying the flame aura became. The temperature of the entire void was enough to turn a saint into a bloody mist instantly. The two young men could not hold on any longer. The two of them were from the Li Fire clan, and were geniuses. Previously, they had come here with the elders of the clan. They were here to gain experience. The ones who truly made a move were the elders. They didn't fear following the elders. If they had to go by themselves, they wouldn't be able to reach it. Luckily, Lin Xian and Six Paths Scattered Cultivator were here to help them defend against the flames. Only then could the two of them fly safely. After flying for about 5 days, they stopped. Vagabond Six Paths said that this was the place where I saved them. "Look, there are still traces of battle around, but the corpses of the sunfire crows are gone." Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light as he looked around. He nodded and said, "Let's keep going." The group continued forward, but Six Paths didn't know where they were going to go. He could only rely on these two young men. Finally, after flying for another 5 days, they arrived at a place. There was a valley in front of them. From the outside, it looked simple and undangerous, but the two young men did not dare to go in. Lin Xian looked at Six Paths and said, "Let's go in and take a look." Six Paths Scattered Cultivator's body flashed and he flew in. After entering, the surroundings were extremely quiet. Six Paths kept walking forward. Suddenly, a huge fire exploded in front of them. Then countless fire crows appeared and attacked Six Paths. Six Paths' pupils constricted and he punched out. Six Paths' fist shattered everything. Many fire crows turned into bloody mist. However, there were too many fire crows. Six Paths was terrified. He was no match for them and quickly retreated. He left the valley. Wanting to enter the valley alone? Wasn't he overestimating himself a little too much? At that moment, a cold laugh came from afar. Then a few people walked over. The leader was a man, and behind him were 2 old men and a middle-aged woman. There were not many people, but they were very calm. Who are you? Six Paths frowned. The 2 young men were indeed shocked. They were from the Skyfire race. The people in front looked at the 2 young men and snorted. Who are you? It's the Skyfire race. You can't enter with just a few of you. The Skyfire race quickly scram. The 2 young men were so scared that they did not dare to speak. They were no match for the other party. The other party was from the Skyfire race. They were extremely powerful. Six Paths was angry. You want us to leave? You want us to leave? The man from the Skyfire race laughed. I know why you're here. You're looking for the Sun Palace. Let me tell you, we do have some clues. Oh, you know? Lin Xian was shocked. Six Paths snorted coldly. Since you know, tell me. Ha 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 ha. The man from the Skyfire race laughed. You want to know? You don't have the right.